Welcome to the Gillette Body Wash pregame show on Fox. Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. And fans in New York had to splash a little water on their face to keep them up for last night's classic against Boston. Scoreless in the 15th till that. A two-run crank by A-Rod, his first homer in 72 at bat. 9th career walk-off gives the Yanks their biggest lead in the AL East of 4.5 games. Well, after a quick nap, the boys are back at it today in the Bronx. Jeter, he doesn't need much sleep, does he? He's ready to talk a good game and play one as they're looking for their third straight W against the boys from Beantown. Meanwhile, in Anaheim, Michael Young and the Rangers won the opener of a 3-game set last night. They're within 3.5 of Bobby Abreu and the first-place Halos in the AL West. It's a pair of 1 versus 2 divisional matchups today on Fox as we come to you from sunny Southern California. And with that, we welcome you to Bedrock. It is also known as Anaheim. It is Fox Saturday Baseball, all presented by Gillette Body Wash. First pitch at either one of your games coming to you in just a few minutes, but first, the latest news on Big Papi. And on Saturday, David Ortiz held a press conference in conjunction with the Major League Baseball Players Association to dispute any positive steroid test from 2003. In fact, the union and MLB says that number of 104 names that you've heard, it's not right. It may only be 96 and as few as 83. Now, the union also said testing wasn't nearly as accurate in 2003 as it is today, in part because any legalized supplement, such as androstenedione, would have resulted in a positive sample back then. Also, any player who initially tested positive was told to cease any use of supplements and then was retested again 7 days later. Now, Ortiz doesn't know if he fell into that last category, but he was adamant about the S word.
I definitely was a little bit careless back in those days when I was buying supplements and vitamins over the counter, legal supplement, legal vitamins over the counter. But I never buy steroids or use steroids. But I never thought that buying supplements and vitamins, it was gonna hurt anybody's feelings, you know, and if that happened, you know, I'm sorry about that. I was never told that I test positive for steroids. That's why when I had my statement, I talked to you guys that I was kind of surprised about the news because I wasn't too much involved with it. But like I say, you know, I'm not here to make any excuses or anything.
David, since 2003, have you been tested again, and what has been those results?
Since that, I've been tested 15 or more times, and I have never tested positive for a steroid. I've been tested 2 times for WBC too. Nobody has ever come out to me with anything.
Ortiz, who is in the lineup today, added he doesn't want all the names on the list revealed because he doesn't wish anyone to endure what he's gone through over the last 10 days. Our Ken Rosenthal is in New York City and has more on the latest chapter.
Chris, this is the first time the union has publicly raised questions about the government's list of 104 players who tested positive for steroids. For one thing, the union says the number isn't 104. It's actually 83 positive tests, and those could have come from fewer than 83 players. Also, the government's definition of a positive test might be different than the union's. The union's point? Don't draw absolute conclusions. We don't know the absolute truth. Earlier today, I caught up with Terry Francona.
I think David feels like a big weight has been lifted. I think we'll be a little naive to think that we won't have to deal with questions going forward. In every city you go to, you're going to get questions, and that's okay. We can answer them. We couldn't answer them before, but I think David feels like a big weight's been lifted.
From positive results to results on the field, baseball's next from New Yorker Anaheim. See ya from Bedrock. Wilma, I'm home.
You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox.
When you need an electrician, how do you know which one you can rely on? You search and search and end up talking to a call center hundreds of miles away.
Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano?
Isn't it easier to go to powerjacks.com and order service online? Thompson Electric has been in Jacksonville for 20 years. We know our business and we know the area.
Atlantic. Is it anywhere near Blanding?
If you need an electrician, don't call long distance. Just go to powerjacks.com.
Hello?
Florida RV's having a huge bank repo sale. Get unbelievable deals like diesel pushers starting at $20,000. Or this 08 36-foot toy hauler for $39,000. Why buy new when you can hit the road in style for hundreds, even thousands of dollars less? Everything must go during the huge bank repo sale going on now at Florida RVs. Visit FloridaRVs.org or their showroom at 3880 Firestone Road.
Yesterday in New York, day turned in tonight, and during the night, an absolute classic between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Won on this two-run home run by Alex Rodriguez. 5.5 hours, 15 innings. It ended in the wee hours of the morning, and New York has taken the first two from Boston. And now on a late Saturday afternoon, it is the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week as we renew this rivalry, the Red Sox and the Yankees from Yankee Stadium. And now welcome into the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, both coming up. Coming into this series, all people were talking about was the fact that the Red Sox had dominated the Yankees so far in 2009, winning all 8 games between the two clubs. Well, right now nobody's talking about that. Everybody's looking at the first place Yankees, a 4.5 game lead, and people are wondering, Tim, what's gone on with the Boston Red Sox, because right now they're not hitting.
Yeah, the Yankees have picked up 4.5 games over the last 6 days. It shows you how quickly things can change. The Red Sox have not been hitting over the last 4 games. Digest these numbers, and please keep in mind that at this point in the season, when the Yankees, throughout their glorious history, has had a 4.5 game lead, they have never not made it into the postseason.
And a matchup today of Clay Buchholz against CC Sabathia. We get ready for baseball. It is the Yankees and the Red Sox, so we should have some fun in store for you this afternoon, today on Fox.
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico. Who's watching? It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Introducing the Gatorade Limited Edition Jordan Series. Collect all 6. That's G.
How bad is your heartburn?
My heartburn? It's like a volcano in my chest. Boom! But one Zantac later, and that volcano is history. All day or all night.
Heartburn, attack it. Zantac.
I made this breakfast just the way I like it. From 17 options, some of which are new.
Only at Denny's.
He ran off with his secretary.
Oh, enough! You get half and you get half. Team 3, Boathouse.
Oh yeah, his and hers.
Van Gogh.
Steven!
Mansion.
Let you go.
Boss, what do we do with the Shih Tzu? Joint custody.
Get work done now. Communicate in less than a second with Nextel Direct Connect. Only on the Now Network.
So much good can come from a game. When I was younger, I was part of RBI, reviving baseball in inner cities. It brings kids together, builds confidence, and creates opportunity. And a great program. Major League Baseball proudly supports RBI.
1, 2, 3, RBI!
Hey, welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. We get ready for the action here on a late Saturday afternoon. The weather is gorgeous here. Might get some thunderstorms late tonight in the area. You can reach for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the Great American Lager. CC Sabathia says he's ready to go, and so with that, we'll give you the starting lineup for Boston, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. The big left-hander will have to take on this group. Kobe Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia, Victor Martinez is the catcher today, hitting third. Kevin Youkilis is in left again. He's cleaning up. David Ortiz, the DH. He's had a long day, a long week. Mike Lowell at third. J.D. Drew right. Casey Kochman at first. And Nick Green is batting in the ninth spot and playing short. Yankees start the day at 67-42, and their record is 4.5 games better than the Red Sox at 62-46. And there's a fastball to start the day, ball one. So it's Ellsbury, then Pedroia, then Victor Martinez, and they're the numbers for CC Sabathia. 11-7. Strike one. CC Sabathia has said that he has historically loved the month of August. He's getting stronger as the year has gone on. 2-1.
I have never heard a pitcher talk about throwing harder in the month of August and September, but CC said that today in the New York Post. It stands to reason that they throw harder during the cooler months, but not CC.
He jams Ellsbury. Tough play for Cano. Wow, that wasn't an easy play, and Robinson Cano certainly made it look easy. Into his right, off balance throw, and he threw a strike.
Made it look easy, Joe, because of that strong arm of Cano. Fielding, throwing in the same motion. Well done.
That's what it takes to keep Ellsbury, who has 50 stolen bases on the year, off first base to start this game, and Dustin Pedroia will be the hitter. Pedroia stands in hitting .303. Reigning AL MVP. Takes a strike. Joe Girardi, who's the Yankee manager, agreed with the assessment of CC Sabathia and said, in fact, he sees him getting stronger and his fastball getting better as the games go on. So within a game, he says he throws harder and harder as the ball game unfolds, and that's strike two. We'll give you the sprint pitcher profile for the left-hander Sabathia.
When you think of CC Sabathia, you think of that cutter to right-handed batters. That has been a staple pitch. Jose Molina saying that you can't forget to use the outside part of the plate if you're catching CC. And it's interesting that the Red Sox have 4 left-handed batters in the lineup today.
96 from Sabathia, missing up and away, and that's ball one. Pedroia batting in front of Victor Martinez. It's Molina doing the catching today for Sabathia as Posada gets the afternoon off after a long night. A good note for Pedroia, and he's out in front of that pitch and fouls it. Sabathia, who throws extremely hard, also features that good changeup, and Girardi said he'll rack up a few strikeouts during the course of the day with that good changeup. But when you think about the 6'7", 290-pound 29-year-old, you think power.
Think power, and that cutter boring in on the right-handed batters. That's what this will be.
And it's up, ball two. So Molina reminds Sabathia to keep his front shoulder in, and CC, who was the Cy Young Award winner with the Indians back in 2007, carries with him a 2-7 career record against Boston. The 2-2. Full count.
Looks like he's too strong in the early going. That's why everything appears to be up from Sabathia.
Red Sox would love to jump on the board here in the first inning after that night last night. And Pedroia fouls it back. Again, 15 innings. Ended in the bottom of the 15th on the 2-run shot by Rodriguez. 5.5 hours. And the Red Sox had a total of 4 hits, which is hard to believe.
It is.
Made the deal at the deadline to get Victor Martinez, who's on deck, to try and add some punch to this lineup. It didn't work out last night, and there's the changeup from Sabathia for out number 2.
After all of that power, the changeup, you could see the 3 fingers of Sabathia almost choking that fastball to get Pedroia.
Give it the Ford keys to the game, and for the Red Sox, it's easy. Swing the bats, and they're trying to figure out how to get that done. And for the Yankees, there's that quote from Sabathia that the best is yet to come. It is an uphill climb, no doubt, now the rest of this series for Boston after losing last night. They've lost the first 2 games of this series, and the pitching matchup certainly favors the home team today. Ball 1 to Victor Martinez. Former teammates with the Indians, and a fastball 94 for a strike.
Talking about Sabathia and being stronger in the month of August, last year's job that CC did with the Milwaukee Brewers, certainly an indication of that, going over and just dominating the National League.
11-2 with the Brewers, but lost in the division series to the Phillies. Strike 2 on Victor Martinez.
Former battery mates here. CC Sabathia with the Indians. Many years as a dominating performer, and Victor Martinez as his catcher. Normally, former battery mates, the catcher has the advantage.
And he floats one to the second baseman, Cano, who went back, came in. A couple of good changeups in that first inning from Sabathia. That one got Victor Martinez. No score after a half.
So the Chargers are just 15 minutes away from playing golf in January, and then Phillip Rivers goes all Phillip Rivers on the Bucks and throws 2 TDs for a W. And you missed it because you have cable. That ain't right, man. Don't you know about DirecTV? It's the only way to watch the team you want to watch, no matter where you live. Come out of the dark ages.
Watch any game you want. Switch now and get 5 months of our best TV package for free. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
Now the colors of life can last a lifetime. Valspar, the beauty goes on.
I'm tired of video games and I'm bored with TV. Let's go on an adventure. It's a wishing rock. I wish I could fly!
Shorts is the most fun you will have this summer at the movies.
Are you crazy?
Yes. It's a fun, feel-good movie for all ages.
Now you're talking.
The most original film of the year. Wow. From the director of Spy Kids.
Ew.
I still think we ought to be closer.
Shorts. Rated PG.
Of all the things that are changing lately, Hyundai Assurance has remained rock solid and gotten even better because now it gives you something else. Gas. A whole year's worth. Buy any new CUV and you'll pay just $1.49 a gallon. And not a penny more, no matter how high prices go. Plus, in the new Santa Fe, you'll get up to 24 miles per gallon for even greater gas savings.
Right now, Hyundai will advance you the government allowance if your trade-in qualifies, so you'll pay as low as $16,195 for a new Santa Fe.
There is the young right-hander Clay Buchholz, 24-year-old right-hander, and there is the lineup for the Yankees, and we bring it to you courtesy of Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Derek Jeter leads it off. Man, they're moving fast down there in the truck. Johnny Damon batting second. Mark Teixeira hitting third. A-Rod is cleaning up. The DH is Hideki Matsui. Then it's Robinson Cano, Nick Swisher, Melky Cabrera, Jose Molina. There, I beat you to the finish line, and there's the Yankee lineup. And there's the right-hander Buchholz, who's 1-1 with an ERA over 6.
Terry Francona telling us before the game that Clay Buchholz needs to have more confidence in his fastball and stick with it in the early going.
First pitch, bottom of the first with no score, and it's a fastball for a strike. It's Jeter now, Damon on deck, Teixeira. The Red Sox really need a good one from Buchholz here this afternoon. Not only effective, not only try and help them get a win, but take some of the load off this bullpen. The 0-1. Talked about a changeup with CC Sabathia, and Terry Francona will tell you that Buchholz has about as good a changeup as you'll find anywhere in the big leagues. It's that fastball, as Tim mentioned, it has to be established to make that pitch more effective, and there's something off speed as Jeter was fooled in strike 2.
So fastball, changeup, and now a good slider to get ahead of Jeter.
The 1-2 outside. The Red Sox, who seemingly had more than enough starting pitching coming into the season, they rounded John Smoltz, what they thought was good pitching shape. They have since designated Smoltz for assignment after he got the start and was knocked around here on Thursday night. They need somebody other than their big two to step up. From the hole, Nick Green, long throw and a good play to start the bottom of the first. Not easy to get Jeter and Green plated about as well as you can.
This is why the shortstop has to have the strongest arm in the infield. Going to his right, planting, nice throw.
Clay Buchholz cheering that play, and with one out, nobody on, here is Johnny Damon. And there are the numbers for Buchholz. Seem to be a lot of interest if you believe the rumors and you read the blogs and you worry about who's doing what at the trading deadline. And Clay Buchholz pitched that no-hitter in September of 2007 against Baltimore, one of his 3 starts that year with the Red Sox. But overall, he's 6-11 in the big leagues, with an ERA over 5.5 as he deals a strike, and the count evens to Johnny Damon.
Yeah, for his short career, he's won only 1 game on the road. That was some performance in only his 2nd major league start, that no-hitter against the Orioles a couple of years ago.
Here's a 1-1. Damon pops one into left. That ball will carry. Youkilis is out there, and he can't make the play. Youkilis, who plays first and third, is in left, and that should be an error with 1 out here in the first inning.
There is a problem during day games at Yankee Stadium. There was in the old ballpark the glare, and there certainly looks to be a problem, even though it's an overcast day. Only the 19th start for Youkilis in left field, and he showed it.
It's an error on Kevin Youkilis, who to this point had made 3 errors between first base and third base.
And what you get in offense, Joe, you lose in defense.
So now runner at second. That's Damon. Here is Teixeira. And there is ball 1 on a tailing fastball. Youkilis had not made a start in the outfield since 2006, prior to Thursday night. Didn't have his outfield glove. It was back at Fenway Park. And so now he gets his 2nd start out in left of this 4-game series. And you have to believe that Terry Francona's in the dugout thinking, you know, I asked this guy to do an awful lot for the Boston Red Sox. I know you feel that way. You talked about it during the All-Star game, how valuable Kevin Youkilis is to this Boston team, because the amazing thing is when they flip him between first base and third base defensively, it has never seemed to bother his offense.
Nope.
But now he is a lonely man standing out in left. And just made an error. 1-0 pitch to Teixeira is outside, 2-0.
Kevin Youkilis excelling as a first baseman, a Gold Glover at first base, and then going to third. You need the stronger arm, and now asked to play left field and committing that error, and the Red Sox and their fans hopeful that it's not harmful to the Red Sox effort today.
There's a strike, and it's 2-1. From his viewpoint on that play, the ball hit by Damon. No doubt glare is an issue. We've seen a couple of players in the games we've done here at Yankee Stadium stagger around on a day such as this. In the outfield, 2-1 pitch and a changeup fools Teixeira. 2-2. Good pitch.
That pitch would have fooled any left-handed hitter in the game. You see how far a good hitter is out in front.
Buchholz trying to get around that error by Youkilis in the 2-2 pitch. Out in front of it again and foul.
That's an indication of how good a changeup Clay Buchholz has. Normally pitchers will use that changeup first time in an at-bat, and there's deception there, but very few pitchers have a good enough change to throw it twice in a row.
Try to go through the string of events that happened to put Kevin Youkilis out in left field. If we get a chance, a 2-2 pitch is low. Rocco Baldelli was put on the disabled list, has a bad ankle that he hurt during batting practice on Wednesday when the Red Sox were playing the Rays. Jason Bay is suffering through a bad right hamstring. Says he's feeling a lot better, but not in the lineup today. They have a young 22-year-old outfielder, Josh Reddick, who hits left-handed. Francona didn't want to start him against the lefty Sabathia. Here's a big strikeout by Buchholz as a changeup gets Teixeira 2 out. And we give you the sprint pitcher profile for Buchholz, who will deal with last night's hero, Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, that second point, you just saw 3 of the last 4 pitches to Teixeira, and then don't get away from the fastball. And here is the strikeout pitch to get Mark Teixeira. Good changeup.
So with 2 out, runner at second. Here is Rodriguez. And that hit the bat of Rodriguez, and right now it's being called a foul ball for strike 1. Rodriguez is saying it hit him on the left shoulder and then hit the bat. The home plate umpire, Jim Joyce, is saying strike 1.
This is one of those arguments where if you're the hitter, you don't argue vehemently because you really want to hit in this situation. You do not want to be hit. It was a changeup or a breaking ball. A-Rod said it hit his shoulder or his helmet. It says his shoulder before the bat. Don't know.
It certainly didn't look like it caught him on the front side of that shoulder. Maybe it grazed against his back before it hit his bat. But let's hear the umpire, Jim Joyce, who's wearing a mic.
Foul ball! Foul ball! Foul ball! Hit the bat! Hit the bat! Hit the bat! Hit the bat! All I heard was that.
So we thank Jim Joyce for wearing the mic, and the Yankee fans are booing, but I'm with you. If you're a Yankee fan or you're Alex Rodriguez, I mean, yeah, the pitch may have grazed his bat, but if you're Rodriguez, aren't you thinking, let me drive the run in?
That's exactly right. You don't want to, again, argue that pitch too vehemently.
Here's the 0-1 from Buchholz. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rodriguez has driven in 62. He's hit 20 home runs. The home run last night, 573rd of his career, to tie him with Harmon Killebrew for 9th on the all-time home run list. A 1-1 to the shortstop. Green comes up for him, and the throw is perfect. And good work by Buchholz to get around that one-out error by Youkilis. After one, Yankee Stadium, no score.
Whoa, what are those like?
I'll tell you what they're like. You ever been face down in lava sauce, son? Getting ambushed by jalapenos, your tongue's burning. But you get so crazy, heck, you start liking the pain.
What's with the voice?
Volcano nachos changes a man.
Taco Bell's new Volcano Nachos with jalapenos and scorching lava sauce. They're only for the brave. Think outside the bun.
There's a lot of secrets in District 9.
District 9, rated R.
There are engines, and then there's the twin turbocharging, 365 horsepower generating EcoBoost engine in the all-new Ford Taurus SHO that has the thirst of a V6 with the thrust of a V8. We speak car. We speak innovation. Introducing the all-new Taurus SHO from Ford. Drive one.
New One-A-Day VitaCraves, a complete adult multivitamin in a gummy to support energy, immunity, and your inner child. One-A-Day VitaCraves, multivitamin gummies for grown-ups.
The Craftsman Cordless C3 line. 25 tools, 1 battery. Bring on the to-do list. Innovation, better value. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Gillette Body Wash, sponsored by Sprint. Get more done with Nextel Direct Connect. And by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by Ford. We speak car. We speak the all-new Ford Taurus. What a beautiful look. At Manhattan, the weather could not be any better. 77 degrees. I mean, 0 humidity. It couldn't be more pleasant out here. And the first pitch to Youkilis, who committed the error. Buchholz got around it. It's outside, ball 1. It'll be Youkilis, then David Ortiz, and then Mike Lowell. Blue Stakes high, 2-0.
This is almost like an August day in CC Sabathia's youth when he was growing up in Vallejo, California. This is a similar day. Vallejo about, what, 35, 40 miles from Oakland.
Here's a 2-0. Fastball for a strike from Sabathia. Man on deck, David Ortiz, at 12:30 this afternoon at a press conference to address what he's been compelled to talk about since a week ago Thursday, which was that his name is on the list of 104 players who tested positive back in 2003 for performance enhancing drugs. 3-1 pitch is popped into right. Swisher to his left, and that is out number 1, and he staggered a bit out in the outfield, made the catch. Rather mild reaction for David Ortiz, who's booed in this rivalry when he's in the Yankees Park under any circumstances. You can hear some of the yells coming out of the fans here at Yankee Stadium, but to me, whether it's here at Yankee Stadium or it's in any other ballpark, the reaction by fans to boo in this situation here in New York, a Boston player who's now on the list, is pretty predictable.
Yeah. Just like A-Rod being booed more at Fenway Park in Boston.
Pitch swung on and fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike. And it's almost in that category more of gamesmanship than absolute disgust for the situation. And it's been talked about so much and detailed and written about. You almost can't get away from it. I think on some level, on a day-to-day, game-to-game, inning-to-inning basis, fans probably are to the point of saying enough. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Ortiz with 1 out, nobody on. We have obviously plenty to say about it, and we have video sound to give you from that press conference as we go through the day. 1-2 pitch is outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Base is empty, 1 down, and Ortiz pops it into center field, and Melky Cabrera will fight the sun and the glare. Glasses on, 2 out. From that 12:30 press conference earlier this afternoon.
I definitely was a little bit careless back in those days when I was buying supplements and vitamins over the counter, legal supplement, legal vitamins over the counter, but I never buy steroids or use steroids.
He is the second out here in the 2nd inning, and now the batter is Mike Lowell, who takes a strike.
I think you have to ask yourself the question, what is different about David Ortiz as opposed to Alex Rodriguez? Alex Rodriguez admitted that he took and dabbled with steroids from 2001 to 2003. But David Ortiz, that's the thing that jumps out at me. That's the biggest difference in the two in explaining why they were on the list.
And the question was asked during the press conference. We were in that press conference. Why now? Why is the Players Association stepping up, and they're front and center now with David Ortiz in this situation as opposed to when Alex Rodriguez was in that situation? And Michael Weiner, who is the future executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Association, said it's the cumulative effect of all that's been said, and in his opinion, some of the misinformation that's out there about that list that forced and compelled the Players Association to sit there with David Ortiz during the press conference earlier this afternoon at Yankee Stadium. Second strikeout for Sabathia. He's not allowed a base runner. Bottom of the 2nd, and Yankee Stadium rolls in. No score.
Introducing Bud Light Lime in cans. The great taste of Bud Light Lime now goes wherever you need it to. Only the superior taste of Bud Light Lime with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor puts you in the summer state of mind. One taste and you'll find the summer state of mind. Bud Light Lime.
Are you and your gray hair facing an identity crisis?
My hair says experience. My hair says energy.
Touch of Gray. The best of both combs away a little gray, never too much, just right.
Now I look like I know what I'm doing and can still do it.
Touch of Gray.
We flame broil it and grab it fresh off the grill because you wanted it that way. We make it big because you wanted it that way. Maybe you're noticing a theme here. Whopper Jr., only $1. Big flame fresh taste, only at Burger King.
If you're like a lot of people, you have high blood pressure and you have high cholesterol. You've taken steps to try and lower both your numbers, but how close are you to your goals? There may be more you can do. Only Catawet combines 2 proven medicines in a single pill to significantly lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. In a clinical study of patients with slightly elevated blood pressure and cholesterol, Catawet helped 48% reach both goals in just 4 weeks.
Catawit is one of many treatment options, in addition to diet and exercise, that you can discuss with your doctor. Catawit is not for everyone. It's not for people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect.
How close are you to where you want to be? Ask your doctor if Catawit can help you go for both your goals.
Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Gillette Body Wash, is sponsored by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. Tune in to the MLB Network for the 2009 RBI World Series, presented by KPMG. Watch the boys' senior championship game on Sunday, August 9th at 3 Eastern. MLB Network. Here is Hideki Matsui. He'll be followed by Robinson Cano and Nick Swisher. If anybody gets on, Melky Cabrera against Clay Buchholz, who pitched around an error in the first inning and finds the strike zone to start the second. Red Sox have yet to put a man on. The Yankees had that base runner when Damon hit a ball to left. It was dropped by Youkilis. Matsui overall hitting .264. Misses from Buchholz, ball 1.
So Matsui's first time up, and Clay Buchholz starts him with a changeup and then throws a curveball. Normally, you don't throw a changeup the first time a hitter's up in a game because you're really changing from nothing. But again, that's an indication of how good Buchholz's changeup is. Now the fastball.
There's a fastball that is a strike over the inside corner, and strike 2. Word confidence is an important word when you think about Buchholz, and a guy who's got as good a stuff as he has, but who his manager says can sometimes get scared away from using his fastball, as that one floats outside in the count 2-2. Change up from the right hander.
Confidence is a close partner to stuff.
A 2-2 pitch. Full count. So instead of Jason Varitek guiding Buchholz through this start, it is the recently acquired Victor Martinez behind the plate, trying to figure out a way to get these Yankee hitters out. What's it going to be on 3-2? And to the left side. Well played, good hands by Lowell, 1 out. So the leadoff man is retired, and with the bases empty, Robinson Cano, first pitch swinger, will step to the plate.
You really can't stress enough when a catcher, an established major league catcher, comes over from an organization. And keep in mind, Victor Martinez played against the Red Sox only a couple of years ago in 2007. The Cleveland Indians had a 3-1 lead over the Red Sox. And then Boston came back to win 3 in a row. But how difficult it is to take over a pitching staff or help with a pitching staff, share the load with a guy like Jason Varitek.
There's a first pitch, base hit back up the middle, and the first hit of the afternoon belongs to Cano. That thing was shin bound on Clay Buchholz, and somehow he skipped the rope and got out of the way.
Robinson Cano has more hits on the first pitch than any other hitter in baseball, 37. Hanley Ramirez of the Florida Marlins is second with 36.
And now Nick Swisher digs his way in. Swisher's had a decent year with the power and the production, but in what has become really the top home run hitting ballpark across baseball, be hard pressed to convince Nick Swisher that this place is turning into a launching pad. He's hit only 3 of his 18 home runs here at home.
That's one of the oddest stats, I think, of any player in the game.
Look at the difference. And 14 of his 55 RBIs have been here at home. And now he bounces into a 4-6-3 double play, and he takes us into the third here at Yankee Stadium. Hey, it's the Red Sox and the Yankees. No score. So we go to the third. Back after this from your local Fox station.
You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox.
When you need an electrician, how do you know which one you can rely on? You search and search and end up talking to a call center hundreds of miles away.
Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano?
Isn't it easier to go to powerjacks.com and order service online? Thompson Electric has been in Jacksonville for 20 years. We know our business and we know the area.
Atlantic. Is it anywhere near Blanding?
If you need an electrician, don't call long distance. Just go to powerjacks.com.
Hello?
At Gander Mountain, we know it's never too early to start the new hunting season. So, get a jump on it right now during Gander Mountain's First Shot event with an incredible selection of the best gear around, including trusted names like Diamond, Rage, Scentlock, and Primos. The new Gander Mountain in Jacksonville and St. Augustine. Gander Mountain. We live outdoors.
Florida RV's having a huge bank repo sale. Get unbelievable deals like diesel pushers starting at $20,000. Or this 08 36-foot toy hauler for $39,000. Why buy new when you can hit the road in style for hundreds, even thousands of dollars less? Everything must go during the huge bank repo sale going on now at Florida RVs. Visit FloridaRVs.org or their showroom at 3880 Firestone Road.
Get Wet Pools and Spas in Orange Park is closing its doors forever. All remaining stock must go now, slashed up to 80% off. Many below wholesale cost. Swimming pools from $180. Pool liners and pumps from $50. Chlorine salt generators $300. Spas as low as $330. Slate billiard tables $470. Tanning beds $290. Pool and spa chemicals buy 3 get 1 free while they last through Sunday. First come, first serve. When it's gone, it's over. Going out of business sale. Get Wet Pools and Spas. 1232 Blanding Boulevard 276-5000.
CC Sabathia back to the hill, third inning, no score, first pitch. J.D. Drew takes a strike. Yankees have the only hit, the Red Sox have the only error. Drew, Kochman, and Green, 7, 8, and 9. Anybody gets on Ellsbury, the leadoff hitter in this Boston lineup, which checks in with the 8th best team average in the AL. A chopper back to Sabathia, who regained his balance and with a bare hand makes the play, 1 out.
It's a good thing for the Yankees that CC came up with that ball, because if it gets by Sabathia, probably an infield hit for Drew. Well done by the 290-pound Karsten Charles Sabathia.
So now Casey Kochman, who was picked up from Atlanta. Kochman's bounced around. It wasn't that long ago that he was the top prospect in the Angels organization, and it's always been, or at least the last handful of years, been a very productive system that's come up with one good big leaguer after another, and it's part of a Teixeira trade between those two clubs, the Angels and the Braves. And now, after having LaRoche for about 3 minutes, they turned him around and traded him for Casey Kochman, who took a strike and now a ball. Same type player, really, the two, LaRoche and Kochman.
LaRoche perhaps with a little more power than Casey. Casey probably a little better hitter than Adam.
Slaps at it and fouls a dangerous foul ball into the seats, left side, strike 2.
How about the rotation of those 6 players? Kevin Youkilis, Mike Lowell, Jason Varitek, Victor Martinez, Casey Kochman, and David Ortiz. Who do you play? You got to play almost every game, 4 of the 6. But which ones?
A strikeout for out number 2, and the third strikeout rung up by Sabathia as he gets the second out here in the third.
I mean, when you think about it, this is a tough assignment for Casey Kotchman. I mean, his only other start was Thursday night when he hit the 2-run homer his first time up, and now starting against Sabathia. It's tough duty.
And now Nick Green, who is the latest shortstop in what has been a black hole position for the Boston Red Sox. That is bunted foul. Ken Rosenthal is with us. Kenny, after trading away Nomar Garciaparra, it has been a parade of stars at the shortstop position, one guy after another for Boston.
Absolutely, Joe. Total revolving door, and they have yet to come up with a real solution. Right now, Nick Green is their guy because Jed Lowry's back on the disabled list, went on today. And really, Nick Green was a guy they just signed to be AAA depth this year in case something happened. Turns out he's played slightly above average defense. He's been pretty good offensively too, though not lately. And right now, he's what they have.
Here's Cano with a barehanded pickup. He almost handcuffed Teixeira, who gathers it in for the out. Those two are smiling. Yankees are smiling. Red Sox are not. 18 straight innings without scoring a run. After 2.5 at Yankee Stadium, no score.
We didn't know which of the 3,296 Holiday Inn hotels you'd be staying in. So we're refreshing all of them. Holiday Inn, official partner of Major League Baseball road trips.
What's nice about the iPhone is if you run into a friend and you want to share a photo with a flick, there's an app for that. If you want to share contact info with a bump, there's an app for that. Or if you just want to share some downtime, well, there's an app for that too. Because there's an app for just about anything, only on the iPhone.
Taking its rightful place in a long line of amazing performance machines. This is the new E-Coupe. This is Mercedes-Benz.
So on nights when Dad works late, we'll treat ourselves a bit at Olive Garden.
Ooh, breadsticks.
It's my chance to ask about his girlfriend.
Enjoy our new grilled chicken crostata with pasta and a tomato Alfredo, or new grilled steak crostata with a 4-cheese sauce at Olive Garden.
There are things happening here I can't even begin to explain.
Things like mind control, teleportation, genetic mutation, reanimation.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder.
Television's #1 new series returns.
Friend of yours?
Oh, I certainly hope not. Fringe, the new season, Thursdays this September on Fox.
Buchholz back to work, bottom of the third inning. He's allowed a hit, pitched around an error, no score. First up is Melky Cabrera. And he grounds one to the hole at short. Backhanded pickup by Green, and safe at first as Kotchman either came off the bag, the first base umpire tried to get a better look at it, or Cabrera beat the throw. Either way, it's an infield hit to start the inning.
Yeah, it's a hard play for Bill Miller, the first base umpire, because the bag is between the foot and the ball. Did he come off the bag? I think so. Good play by Green to make the play, but it's toward home. I think so. Just a couple of inches. But a good call by Bill Miller, and a tough call that he had to make. It's close.
It really is hard to get a definitive look. I think you can make an argument maybe either way on that, and the call by Bill Miller is safe. So an infield hit. The batter is Jose Molina, who's batting in the number 9 spot. Ball 1 inside. Molina spent time on the disabled list this year. 246 hitter, 1 homer, 7 RBIs.
A lot of ways Joe Girardi can go right here. You have enough speed on at first base in Melky Cabrera. Send the runner and hope that Molina can put the ball in play on the ground.
That's inside, 2-0. Molina missed 55 games with a strained left quad. Very good receiver and a catcher that this Yankee pitching staff enjoys throwing to.
You know, a quad is perhaps a more familiar injury for a catcher than a hamstring, because the very fact that catchers squat stretches the hamstring.
Check on the runner Cabrera, who's stolen 5, been caught twice. Back on June 23rd, the Red Sox led the Yankees by 5 games, and here on August 8th, it's the Yankees out in front of Boston by 4.5. There's a strike from Buchholz. 2-1. This is a Yankee team that's 11-1 here at home since the All-Star break. And a little less stress in the world of the man on the left, and a little more in the world of the man on the right. Good pitch by Buchholz, and the foul tip for strike 2.
I think your point in the opening is certainly pertinent. I mean, here just 2 days ago, everybody in New York was saying, yeah, but the Yankees are 0-8 against the Boston Red Sox. And now all of a sudden Yankee fans are saying, well, we have a 2-game winning streak against the Red Sox. Can change in a hurry.
And I don't think it's a stretch to say that this is a different type Yankee team than the team the Red Sox were beating up on the first 8 meetings. That's up and away in a full count.
Absolutely. Team talking about confidence. Talked about Clay Buchholz perhaps not pitching with confidence. Well, the Yankees are certainly playing with a lot of confidence right now. I'd look for Cabrera to be running here.
So Buchholz steps off, a 3-ball, 2-strike count on Molina. It was 2-0. Derek Jeter on deck. There goes Cabrera, and there's a foul left side. A couple of roster moves. Ken Rosenthal touched on one of them. That was that Jed Lowry, the shortstop, is back on the disabled list with numbness in that left hand, wrist, forearm area. And Enrique Gonzalez, a right-hander, was brought up from the minor leagues to try and help out if Buchholz struggles early and the Red Sox have to go to their bullpen to get some help after that 15-inning night last night. Meanwhile, for the Yankees, Mark Melancon has been put on the train back to the minor leagues as ball 4 is down and away, and Josh Towers was added to the big league roster, the 40-man roster. And Damaso Marte was put on the 60-day disabled list, which opened up that 40-man roster spot. Here comes Derek Jeter after a hit and a walk, 2 on, nobody out, and a chance for New York to jump on top here in the 3rd.
Some situations like this, Derek Jeter takes it upon himself to bunt the ball down the 3rd base line and to hug the line. But he's having really too good a year to be expected to bunt in this situation.
He tries to drop one down and fouls it straight back, strike 1.
looked like he tried to push this ball toward first base.
Mike Lowell, who's playing third base for the Red Sox and still rebounding from that hip surgery. His range has been limited. A lot of talk about that. One of the reasons why Boston Red Sox got another bat in their lineup in case Lowell slows down toward the end of the year. Jeter now abandons the bunt, was going to swing and took a ball.
Yeah, it's such a difficult play for the third baseman in this situation, particularly with a guy who can pull the ball down there. He's looking at the third base coach, Rob Thompson, right now, but you have to keep an eye on the runner at second and the hitter. You're not convinced that a guy like Derek Jeter's going to be bunting. You have to be prepared to field the ball if he swings away. And he's about 3 or 4 feet in front of third base. Tough play.
Good pitch from Buchholz. Jeter out in front of it, strike 2. So the changeup fools Jeter. And Buchholz, who has 1 strikeout, would love his second right here. Two balls, 2 strikes. We had a chance to talk to Terry Francona during the break prior to the bottom of this 3rd inning, and if we get a chance, we will play you that conversation here while the Yankees bat, and they have 2 on with nobody out. The 2-2. Down and away, full count. What a year it's been for Derek Jeter, who heard enough whispers about him being on his way out here with the Yankees. Wearing down, wearing out. What a season. 9th best overall average in the American League at the start of the day. 3-2 pitch. Jammed to third. Lowell out at second. Pedroia turns it. Double play. 5-4-3. Nicely turned by the Red Sox. And the second double play turned behind Buchholz here in the early innings.
I'm surprised Joe Girardi does not send the runners. Usually when you have momentum, the Yankees winning 5 in a row, you take it to the opposition, particularly if it's the Red Sox. I'm surprised runners not running here, and the double play turned by the Red Sox.
And a guy at the plate who can make contact.
That's right.
Doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes.
Right.
And now it's a runner at third with 2 out, and the batter is Johnny Damon. A lot of eyebrows were raised when Johnny Damon, 2006 or for the 2006 season, signed a 4-year deal with the Yankees. But his numbers compare very favorably to the 4 years he spent with the Boston Red Sox. He has really held up well. That's high, 2-0. Here are the numbers. 0-2 through 0-5 with Boston. The average was better there. The home runs higher here with the Yankees. RBIs better with Boston, but overall he's a guy that answers the bell every day. Is hit lead off or second. He's putting on the pinstripes. That's outside, and the count's 3-0 with Teixeira next.
Talk about durability with Johnny Damon. He has played 13 consecutive years of 140 plus games. That is remarkable durability. And you know, here's a guy, the Red Sox fans got used to it, a guy who plays hurt.
3-0 pitch. And on 4 straight, Damon takes a walk to bring in Teixeira. Buchholz is playing with fire here in the 3rd inning as he walks Damon and gets to Teixeira, who is tied for first in the American League with his 28 home runs and tied for second with his 81 RBIs.
There's a difference between playing with fire and playing with fire in your eyes.
Buchholz has done one, and the guy at the plate, Mark Teixeira, digs in with the other. Fire in his eyes, a guy who has certainly picked it up since just about the moment Alex Rodriguez was activated and put back in this Yankee lineup on May 8th. First and third with 2 out. And a line drive, base hit into right. Yankees lead 1-0 as Damon will stop at second. Cabrera scores, and Teixeira has 82 RBIs.
You may remember the first at bat when Buchholz got ahead of Teixeira, threw him one change after another, struck him out on a 3-2 changeup. Well, Teixeira not allowing Buchholz to get ahead here or behind. First pitch swinging to put the Yankees on top.
So now Rodriguez, who grounded out and who has hit 20 home runs this season. Fastball for a strike. With his own cheering section, Rodriguez bats with 2 on, 2 out. A run is home. Buchholz showing good velocity with that first pitch. And now breaks the bat of Rodriguez. Nick Green surrounds it, throws it, inning over. Yankees get the lead. RBI on a 2-out hit by Teixeira. 4th inning now. Yankee Stadium, 1-0 New York.
Now the colors of life can last a lifetime. Valspar, the beauty goes on.
Hey, can I help you? No, thanks. I'm just getting some pennies. I gave last time.
Lemonade, mister?
No, thanks. Just pennies. It's the 89-cent grilled chicken burrito.
This is only 88 cents.
Ooh, 89. See you tomorrow.
Tender grilled chicken, avocado ranch sauce. It's the new grilled chicken burrito, and it's only 89 cents. Why pay more?
I was always going. Having to go in the middle of traffic and just starting and stopping. Having to go in the middle of a ball game and then not being able to go once I got there. And going at night. I thought I had a going problem. My doctor said I had a growing problem. It wasn't my bladder. My prostate was growing. I had an enlarging prostate that was causing my urinary symptoms. My doctor prescribed Avodart.
Over time, Avodart actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms.
So I can go more easily when I need to go, and go less often.
Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to risk of a specific birth defect. Do not donate blood until 6 months after stopping Avodart. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely sexual side effects, swelling, or tenderness of the breasts can occur. Only your healthcare provider can tell if symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. So have regular exams. Call your doctor today. Avodart, help take care of your growing problem.
Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Gillette Body Wash, sponsored by Valspar Paint. Valspar, the beauty goes on. By Priority Mail flat rate boxes, only from the Postal Service, a simpler way to ship. And by Chevy. Here's Ellsbury, tried to bunt, missed it, strike 1, and we're underway in the 4th inning with the Yankees leading 1-0. Ellsbury, Pedroia, Victor Martinez. Anybody gets on Youkilis. The 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ellsbury's starting to figure it out. Burst onto the big league scene. He's had an opportunity, and he seems to get better now with every week here in 2009 as he has settled in #2 in the league with his 50 stolen bases, and he takes a strike, 1-2.
Those 50 stolen bases, as many as he had last year. The Red Sox record for stolen bases, 54 by the great Tommy Harper, left fielder for the Sox back in 1973.
Carl Crawford of the Rays, by the way, leads the AL with his 52 steals, and strikeout #4 for Sabathia.
Nasty slider to get Ellsbury.
So with 1 out, nobody on, Pedroia will be the hitter, and everything you knew about fantasy football is about to change. Introducing the all-new Fox Fantasy Football with free live scoring, customizable leagues, and research tools. Log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football. With 1 out, nobody on, the batter is Pedroia, and the pitch is low for ball 1. We're going to give you that visit with Terry Francona after Pedroia does something here in the 4th. A strike where the upper reaches of the strike zone. A ball and a strike. That's fouled right side, strike 2. So while the Yankees have their 4.5 game lead in the division, Boston right now is leading the wild card chase in the American League. But if you have not paid attention to the Texas Rangers, they've got 61 wins. The Red Sox have 62, and Tampa Bay, they're close with 60. Tampa Bay just beat Boston in a 2-game series, swept them during the week prior to the Red Sox arrival here in New York. Two and 2 on Pedroia. Struck out his first time. And off balance, pops it into left center field for Melky Cabrera, who has it for out #2. And here's Terry Francona. First question was about how does he get his team to start hitting?
Facing one of the better pitchers in the league, I think the biggest thing, we got to keep grinding. I mean, sometimes it's not as easy as you want it to be, so you keep grinding and not give at-bats away, not feel sorry for yourself, and just keep grinding.
I like what you said before the game, which was we've got a good group. You believe in this team. You said even if we don't go out there and win today, we've still got a good group at the end of the day, and we'll try and figure out some way to get through this.
That's how we feel. We do have a good group, and if we win, we're going to go in and be in a much better mood. But when we lose, it doesn't mean that we feel differently about our team. Some of the things you got to do is handle frustration during the year, and how you handle it, that's going to define a lot of your season. And we got a lot of confidence in our players' ability to do that.
Victor Martinez with 2 out and nobody on took a strike and now checks his swing on ball 1 inside. The Red Sox right now swinging the bats 4 for their last 57. Wow.
Victor Martinez holding up. CC Sabathia with a perfect game. He has retired the first 11 to face him.
2 out, nobody on. 1-1 pitch. Tapped foul, strike 2. Martinez popped up his first time. Been a switch hitter since the age of 7. Good addition to this Red Sox team, but right now it appears Boston's trying to figure out how to fill out their starting rotation. One of the few times today that this crowd has jumped into this game. There's some repeat customers from last night. They're a little worn out. 1-2 pitch. Straightens up. Martinez with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-2.
It's a bad combination for the Red Sox. What'd you say, Joe? 4 for their last 57. And CC Sabathia with that type stuff. against Boston today.
Some guys, it looks like they're working hard to throw 96. It looks so easy for Sabathia to bring it in the upper 90s. He's got great stuff around that fastball as he misses upstairs. 98. Full count. And a foul tip keeps the inning alive. Tampa Bay Rays will play 13 of their final 31 games against the Red Sox and Yankees. 10 games the first 2 weeks of September, and then the Yankees close out the year down in Florida against the Rays, the final 3 games of the season. Tampa Bay 8-4 against Boston, 5-6 against the Yankees. Pretty good race shaping up in the AL East. Here's another 3-2. And another foul ball. So there's the wild card chase. Well, we talked about all that round robin action going on in the AL East. Texas Rangers be doing a lot of the same round robin work in the AL West. Here's a 3-2. And another foul ball. Good at bat by Victor Martinez. And with velocity still from Sabathia, 97.
Sometimes if you're a catcher, what you determine or how you determine what to throw to a guy like Martinez is how he's getting around on the fastball. If he fouls balls off continually the other way, he's not getting around on it. So that could determine what you're going to throw. But this is a changeup here from Sabathia.
Martinez grounds to third. Long throw, Rodriguez, and that ends the top of the 4th. Bottom of the 4th rolls in. Matsui, Cano, Swisher, 1-0 New York.
This dealership is our battlefield.
From the guys behind Talladega Nights and Step Brothers.
In your country, they would cut your hands off because you're stealing from us.
This Friday,
we're going to war. Don't even get me started on Pearl Harbor. We are the Americans and they are the enemy. Never again! Never again! Let's get him! These people are excited about the savings.
The goods. Live hard, sell hard. Rated R. Friday.
So what's the problem? These are hot. We're shipping them everywhere.
Well, we can't predict our shipping costs.
Dallas, Detroit, different rates.
Well, with us, it's the same flat rate. Same flat rate. Boston, Boise? Same flat rate.
Alabama, Alaska?
With Priority Mail flat rate boxes from the Postal Service, if it fits, it ships anywhere in the country for a low flat rate.
Dude's good.
Dude's real good.
Dudes. Priority Mail flat rate boxes. Only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship.
How bad is your heartburn?
My heartburn? It's like a volcano in my chest. Boom! But one Zantac later, and that volcano is history. All day or all night.
Heartburn, attack it. Zantac.
Cash for Clunkers is available at your Chevy dealer, but funds are going fast. So hurry, let us recycle your older vehicle and you could qualify for an additional $3,500 or $4,500 cash back on a new fuel-efficient Chevy. Your Chevy dealer has more eligible models to choose from, more than Ford, Toyota, or Honda. Now get an 09 Silverado for under $18,300 after all offers and get it for even less if you qualify for the Cash for Clunkers program. Go to Chevy.com for details.
Even though Jabba Chamberlain's father was partially paralyzed, he played catch with his son every day. It was then Jabba believed he could handle whatever life threw at him.
The big guy is carrying this team on his shoulders right now.
As the Yankees race toward the postseason, so does this boy from Nebraska.
He could be the hero.
Strike three.
Millions will be watching, including his very proud former catcher. This is beyond a journey. This is beyond baseball.
We will give you today's Gillette trivia question. Which team had the most players with 10 or more home runs in a season? As of today, the Yankees have 9. Each team holds the record for most players with 10 or more home runs in a season. Yankees batting in Matsui, who is on that list with 16 home runs, hitting .264, 0 for 1 in this game, takes a ball. Spoke with Joe Girardi, brief question and answer session. I'll give that to you after Matsui does something here. It's 2-0. Matsui, Cano, and Swisher for New York. And a pop-up left field. Youkilis, a lot of the glare is gone now with more cloud cover, and Youkilis has no problems with that fly ball to start the inning. 1 out. Here is Joe Girardi, and the visit that we had is Youkilis looks at the fans out there and says, yes, I caught one. 1 out here in the inning.
I love it, and you see him add a little bit of extra fastball when he needs to. He's been up to 98 today, and he's been very conservative in his pitches, and we need that because of last night's game.
Tim talked before the game about how quickly things change in baseball, and all anybody wanted to talk about was 0-8 against Boston for your club, and now the headline is you've got a 4.5 game lead in this division.
Yeah, we all know that it can change very quickly, and that's why you have to keep pushing it, and you can't relax for a moment in this division because this is a very tough division and it can change very quickly.
To go back to Sabathia real quick, this is one of those games like Boston needs from Buchholz where you need not only effective work from Sabathia but deep into this game to take some load off your bullpen.
We do because there's a bunch of guys that we will not use today, and you know, we need CC to give us 7 or 8 innings, and that would be great.
We appreciate your time, Joe. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
We continue to reference last night's 5.5-hour game that ended in the bottom of the 15th. A scoreless game, and the first time that the Yankees and Red Sox have ever been scoreless facing one another after 14 innings in their long history together. There's one on that home run by A-Rod, and that's why Girardi and Francona need a lot out of the starters today. A base hit to right by Cano. He's 2 for 2 and on with 1 out here in the 4th inning. So Cano, who started the day at .310, is 2 for 2, and Nick Swisher steps in.
Joe, you were talking about the 5.5-hour game last night. The Red Sox have lost 4 in a row, and their games have averaged, those 4 games have averaged 4 hours and 25 minutes. Excruciating losses. A 13-inning affair against Tampa Bay this past week. And then 3 nights later, that game last night.
You saw a lot of those details on that graphic. There's a strike to Nick Swisher. You talk about 5 hours and 33 minutes. The game that was played here last night, the 15 innings. There's the last 4, and that will rip up any bullpen. And coming into this stretch, the Red Sox were boasting, and I think still can boast with regard to talent, the best bullpen in the American League, but it is worn out. And it traded a very valuable and resilient arm in Masterson, part of the deal to get Victor Martinez from Cleveland. Cano is back after a strike to Nick Swisher.
You have to give up something to get something, but almost to a man, the Red Sox very disappointed that they had to part with Justin Masterson.
But that's the back end of it. That's the bullpen. The question right now, I think the bigger question is, how do the Red Sox fill out the rest of their rotation? They have an outstanding 1-2 punch. That's a ball. It's as good as it gets with Lester, who pitches here tomorrow, and Beckett, who was dominant here last night. Buchholz turning in an outing that so far is pretty good. Hope to get Daisuke Matsuzaka back in early September, maybe Wakefield by the end of next week, but they don't know for sure. Designated Smoltz for assignment. Penny has been hit or miss, more miss lately than hit. There's a ball up and away, 2-1. Ken Rosenthal, how do you think it shakes out for the Red Sox, and can they make something happen with regard to a trade to try and add to this rotation in Boston?
It's going to be difficult, Joe.
They tried before the deadline to get Roy Halladay. They were in on those conversations. They made a serious run at Felix Hernandez, and they even tried to get Victor Martinez and Cliff Lee in a combination. That was the way that the Indians might have gotten Clay Buchholz in that deal. But now in the August waiver period, the options aren't nearly as attractive. So they've signed Paul Burr to a minor league contract. They've got Michael Bowden in the minor leagues. Judici Tozawa is an option to start as well. And they're hoping, from all the options you described and I described, that they'll be able to piece together 3 through 5 in the rotation.
And yet coming into the season, Ken or Tim, I mean, this was a Red Sox team that thought, well, not only do we have 5, but we have Smoltz, who's working his way back from shoulder surgery. We are well equipped to get through the season, and now they're trying to find help wherever they can get it.
Now, what guys overlooked was an all-star, Tim Wakefield, 11-4 at the break. And as far as Tim is concerned, he can throw the ball, but he can't cover first base. His arm is fine, but with a hamstring problem, has a tough time covering first. But he would be a huge addition if he could come back next week.
Here's ball 4 high to Swisher. That's walk number 3 from Buchholz, and it's 2 on with 1 out in the 4th inning. And it brings in Melky Cabrera. Yeah, the problem with Wakefield, which I think is really interesting, is arm-wise he's fine. He's got a bad back. He's got a sciatic nerve problem, which has affected his left calf. Anybody who's had that type issue before knows exactly what that means. Basically, his left calf is not firing. So they think he could pitch as soon as they needed him, but they don't think he could run over and cover first base. He's not moving well at all, and until that situation clears up, they will not send him to the mound, as Cabrera's fooled with a changeup. Strike 1. Wakefield will try to work that arm. You know, you can say, well, he comes back, then you got to get the arm back in shape. And according to Terry Francona, he says as soon as the leg is okay, we'll just throw him back out there. He's a knuckleball pitcher instead of a minor league rehab assignment. 0-1 pitch. Good fastball, strike 2.
The addition of Tim Wakefield, of course, creates another problem because then the Red Sox would not be able to allow Jason Varitek or Victor Martinez to catch him, so George Coteras has to catch him. Seems like the Red Sox are playing with a 30-man roster right now.
Here's the 0-2. Fouled away. But we saw the abilities to manage on display by Terry Francona back in 2004. The way he used his bullpen, the way he used his bench, the strategy he used in game to bring his team back from down 3-0 against the Yankees, and then that red-hot 4-game sweep over St. Louis. Francona seems to handle well whatever's thrown his way, and has ever since he's come to Boston. 0-2 pitch with 2 on, 1 out. Fly ball into left field, and Youkilis is there for out number 2. Here's the last time he made the catch. This was to start the inning on a ball hit by Matsui. And he's having a little fun with the crowd out in left.
When the Red Sox embarked on this road trip, Kevin Youkilis did not bring the glove that he normally has to play left field. In fact, that glove is not broken in yet. And the glove that he is using is Jason Bay's glove.
Well, after his error, which happened back in the first, he took his batting glove off that he was wearing under that glove, and now he's put it back on. Breaking ball from Buchholz is a good one, strike 1. Back in the first inning, and a ball hit by Damon. Dealing with a glare and spinning around, Youkilis made the error. The 0-1. Molina takes a ball up and in, a ball and a strike. Jose walked his first time up, and this will be pitch number 65 on the afternoon for the 24-year-old right-hander. He turns 25 next Friday. The 1-1 pitch is outside. Buchholz came in having allowed left-handed batters to hit .366 against him this season, and having allowed 41 base runners in 19 1/3 innings. All of the hits so far today for the Yankees have been from left-handed batters. Right-handed hitting, Jose Molina at the plate, 2-1. Pop up back and out of play. Strike 2. Yankees had lost 3 straight at the White Sox prior to beating Mark Buehrle last Sunday. As you trace their week, the Yankees come in having won 5 straight, and during the week have 1 game started against them by Buehrle, Halladay, and Beckett.
Melky Cabrera hitting for the cycle last Sunday in Chicago. That was a huge offensive game for the Yankees. Boy, did they need that.
Here's a 2-2. And a changeup gets Molina. The inning is over, and Buchholz has been pretty good. We go into the 5th inning. That was the 2nd strikeout, and a big one for the Boston right-hander. Still New York 1, Boston nothing.
It's the Chevy Open House. And now, with the Cash for Clunkers program, a great deal gets even better. Let us recycle your older vehicle, and you could qualify for an additional $3,500 or $4,500 cash back on top of all other offers on a new, more fuel-efficient Chevy. Your Chevy dealer has more eligible models to choose from, more than Ford, Toyota, or Honda. So save gas and money now during the Chevy Open House. Go to Chevy.com for details.
Are you and your gray hair facing an identity crisis?
My hair says experience. My hair says energy.
Touch of Gray, the best of both, combs away a little gray, never too much, just right.
Now I look like I know what I'm doing and can still do it.
Touch of Gray.
So on nights when Dad works late, we'll treat ourselves a bit at Olive Garden.
Ooh, breadsticks.
It's my chance to ask about his girlfriend.
Enjoy our new grilled chicken crostata with pasta and a tomato Alfredo, or new grilled steak crostata with a 4-cheese sauce at Olive Garden.
Premonitions, visions, signs.
We're all gonna die, all right? It's gonna be a crash.
You saw it before it actually happened.
On August 28th.
You guys saw clues as to how the next person was gonna die.
What do you mean, the next person?
Get ready.
I think we can stop it.
For the ultimate 3-day trip.
Look out!
The final destination. Rated R. Take the trip in 3D to the select theater.
Welcome to the Now Network. Right now, 5 co-workers are working from the road using a MiFi, a mobile hotspot that provides up to 5 shared Wi-Fi connections. 2 are downloading the revised final presentation. 1 just got an email. It's being revised again. The co-pilot is on MapQuest, and Tom is streaming meeting psych-up music from meltedmetal.com. That's happening now with the new MiFi from Sprint, the mobile hotspot that fits in your pocket. Sprint, the Now Network.
The Craftsman cordless C3 line. 25 tools, 1 battery. Bring on the to-do list. Innovation, better value. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Beautiful day here in the Bronx. We go into the 5th inning, 1-0, and the Red Sox will start it with Kevin Youkilis against Sabathia. Strike 1. No base runners so far for Boston.
That means a perfect game through 4.
Youkilis, Ortiz, and Lowell. Anybody gets on J.D. Drew. Strike 2.
I've never quite figured that out. Why announcers do not say a pitcher is pitching a no-hitter or a perfect game. David Cone was the last one for the Yankees to pitch a perfect game back in 1999 on July 18th. I did that game with Bobby Mercer and Susan Wallman. We started talking about it in the 3rd inning and mentioned it every other out. I've always thought it was just absurd that grown men adhere to this myth, in my opinion, that if you mention the fact that a guy's got a perfect game or no hitter, that has anything to do with it.
Here's the 0-2 pitch and a foul out of play off to the right. Look at me. I'm just going to let you go. Just talk till you can't talk anymore.
And then if Euclid gets a hit, you'll say, see? No.
I hear you. I mean, I have whatever. You know, it's fine. Good. And that pitch in the dirt, Euclid checked his swing ball one. You're not superstitious. I mean, forget this stuff, but you're not superstitious about anything?
No. Nope. Well, particularly about a baseball game where a guy in a booth who has nothing to do with a no-hitter or a perfect game can't say that.
So I'm in total agreement with you there. To the shortstop, Jeter. And out number 1. Euclid was running hard. And the Hyundai in-game box score for the Red Sox, introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe, all zeros. And here is David Ortiz. We talked a little his first time up about the press conference before the game, where he tried to answer questions. Both he and Michael Weiner, who representing the Players Association, held that press conference before the game, and for the most part Ortiz talked about his quote-unquote careless use of supplements and vitamins earlier in his career, and then once baseball started testing more in 2004, he started becoming better educated, and then denied ever using steroids in his career as that pitch misses outside. The bottom line is, I have no idea if that's true. Nobody has any idea if that's true or not. It's plausible that something that long ago, back in 2003, that could be what triggered a positive test. But I have said before, we don't know what any of these guys are taking. And if there is no test for HGH, take steroids out of the equation. If there's no test for HGH, there's no telling what anybody's taking in any sport, period. So that's only a sliver of the conversation. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. And Ortiz takes ball 2 outside, 2-2. But is it plausible? Is it, we ever going to have that aha moment where we know the list and who did what and when they did it? I would say the answer to that is a loud no. Fans have seemed willing to accept some uncertainty when they file through gates and watch these players play, no matter what their history. The 2-2 pitch with 1 out, nobody on is just high, full count. The Yankees have had their own list. Alex Rodriguez, we mentioned earlier, Andy Pettitte with his use of HGH, talking about that a couple of springs ago. Jason Giambi before him. 3-2 pitch with 1 out, nobody on, and Ortiz taps it foul again. What I thought was interesting from that press conference, and we'll talk to Ken Rosenthal during this 5th inning, was Michael Weiner from the Players Association talking about the list of 104 names and saying that some on that list were tested more than once, and it could be fewer individuals, and the 83 total number of tests that resulted in positives as Ortiz tries to knock down the momentum of that ball by throwing his bat at it. that it could be fewer than 83 players, that some could have tested positive more than once. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on, and David Ortiz, who really had no more information today to share than he had before. He held that press conference because there were no specifics as to what he tested positive for. Waits for a 3-2 and takes a 1-out walk. So a borderline pitch, and Joe Girardi talking to himself as that pitch barely missed, but called ball 4 by home plate umpire Jim Joyce.
Similar to the 2-2 pitch. You got the count to 3-2. This slider goes around the plate, and that pitch was inside to Ortiz. So the first base runner of the game for the Red Sox.
So the tying run is on with 1 out. Mike Lowell, who struck out his first time, stands in. And a foul. I referenced Ken Rosenthal. Ken, if you're with us, that was first time I'd heard anything about the 104 names possibly being reduced to fewer than that. Michael Weiner first talked about a total in the 90s and then really kind of hung his hat on 83 and talked more about positive tests as opposed to players testing positive.
Joe, you're right. This is the first time where the union publicly has said and raised questions about the validity of the government's list. And basically they're just raising a number of plausible points that could be raised here. For instance, the number might not be what the number has been advertised to be. Also, the government might have a different standard for what a positive test is than the union. And there's one other point we should make here. This list, people keep saying, let's see the whole thing. Let's see it already. Let the game move on. Let's get it behind us. Well, it's not that simple. And the reason it's not that simple is because the players took these tests under the promise of confidentiality and anonymity. And to say now, well, sorry guys, your privacy is gone, that's not fair either.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Mike Lowell. Tying run on at first, that's David Ortiz. And up and away, 2-2. 96-mile-an-hour fastball while the Red Sox look for their first hit.
That breaking ball to David Ortiz on the 3-2 count was inside. That pitch was very, very close. Sabathia wanted it.
Lowell fights it off, still 2-2. Kevin Youkilis has the last Boston hit, which came in the 14th inning in yesterday's game. So far in this one, he's 0 for 2. Ortiz at first, 1 out, and Lowell pops it into right center field. It'll hang up for Melky Cabrera, 2 out. And there aren't many Red Sox hitters getting very good swings off CC Sabathia since this game began.
Gene Mauch, the great manager for, gosh, the Phillies, Montreal, the Angels, used to say that a catcher and a pitcher, their primary job is to keep the ball off the fat part of the bat, and that's what Sabathia is doing today. He and Jose Molina have done a wonderful job of keeping the ball off the fat part of the Red Sox hitters' bats. The contemporary term for that is to square up on a ball, to hit it in that sweet spot, but not a lot of sweet spots hit by the Red Sox today.
That pitch ties up Drew, who checked his swing, ball 1. JD bounced back to the pitcher. Good play by Sabathia. Probably the Red Sox best chance at a hit. But Sabathia made the barehanded stop and threw to get Drew at first. And that was back in the 3rd inning. That's ball 2, 2-0. Dave Magadan, hitting coach for Terry Francona. 2-0 pitch. 2-1. Drew's been bothered by a bad groin. to 12 home runs this season. Average is under 250 at 246. Made a terrific catch here last night on a ball that was roped by Eric Hinske. That only delayed what was the inevitable, which was a win for New York because of the home run by Alex Rodriguez. But look at this ball in the 14th inning. Bruce said he surprised himself that he came up with that rocket off the bat of Hinske. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 2 out. Just missed full count, and that'll give David Ortiz a head start at first.
Well, I would figure that a pitcher who has allowed no hits in the 5th inning against a very good hitting ball club would be making some pitches. But boy, I mean, he has really made some pitches this afternoon. They're explosive in a good location.
On it goes, 3-2 pitch, and another strikeout, number 5 for Sabathia in control here today. Like Beckett and Burnett last night, bottom of the 5th, 1-0 New York.
Here's Tiger Woods doing what he does best, setting up, preparing. He does it better than anyone else. Makes all the difference, Jim. Wait, I think he's ready. Once again, excellent choice.
You know, we've come to expect nothing less.
He can see us.
Prepare your skin with Gillette's new line of hydrating body wash. It has 3 times more hydrators that lock in moisture and help eliminate dry skin.
Is that going to be cash or credit?
Check.
We only take little checks.
It is the most advanced automobile we have ever created. A car that can help awaken its driver if he begins to doze. Keep him in his lane if he starts to wander. Even stop itself if he becomes distracted. If you want to see the future of the automobile, just look at the new E-Class today. This is the 9th generation E-Class. This is Mercedes-Benz.
Miami's Wildcat offense just kicked the Pats where it hurts, and you missed the game because of what? Because you have cable? Don't be that guy. Just get DirecTV. It's the only way to watch any game you want, no matter where you live.
Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
I built this perfect breakfast. I didn't spend much money, but my tummy thinks I did.
Only at Denny's.
Would you one time let me be myself so I can shine with my own light? Let me be myself. Please, will you one time let me be myself so I can shine with my own light? Let me be myself for a while, if you don't mind. Let me be.
Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by the new Gillette Hydra Scrub Body Wash, a powerful clean without dry skin. Another tight one between the Yankees and Red Sox. Last night scoreless into the bottom of the 15th. Today a 1-0 New York lead, bottom of the 5th, and Buchholz, who's been on the short end but pitched pretty well, deal with the top of the lineup for New York. Jeter, Damon, and Teixeira. And strike 1. People keep referencing 2006. The Boston Red Sox, who were playing the Yankees down a game and a half in the standings, a 5-game set, lost all 5. Went to 6.5 out, finished 11 games out behind the Yankees in the East and 9 games out in the wild card chase in the American League. Then in 2007, this organization bounced back and won it all, won the World Series last year, got to Game 7 of the ALCS and lost to the Tampa Bay Rays. It has been some kind of run under Terry Francona since '04. Here comes an 0-2 pitch. Jeter fights it off. Take a look at Taco Bell. They bring the heat. And we look at the pitching velocity comparison. Buchholz His velocity has gone up, and true to his word, the same for Sabathia. He hit 98 in the 4th inning. Now we're in the 5th, bottom half. 0-2. It's fouled.
Yeah, just being mindful of what the Red Sox have done during their 2 World Series years, being down no games to 3 to the Yankees after the Yankees in Game 3 had that 19-run barrage. And we have said it, Joe, well, I've never seen a team have that many hard-hit balls by the Yankees in a 9-inning game in my time, in my experience in the game. I mean, the chances of the Red Sox coming back, I mean, they're congratulating the Yankees before Game 4 and wishing them luck in the series. And yet, what did the Red Sox do? Win 8 in a row.
Jeter fooled on the pitch, fouls it back and out of play.
Talk about against all odds.
Including that series, the Red Sox had won 25 playoff games, 6 playoff series. The Yankees have not won it all since 2000. One-two pitch is a good delivery down and in, and strikeout number 3 for Clay Buchholz. And we give you our DirecTV game break. Follow your favorite MLB team no matter where you live with DirecTV. Top of the 5th, 1 on, nobody out. Angels up 1-0 until Hank Blaylock unloads. Home run number 23, deep right off Jared Weaver to score Hamilton 2-1. Rangers led it. Now it's 2-2 as they play in the bottom of the 6th as the top 2 teams in the AL West hook up in Southern California. And there's a strike to Johnny Damon. Terry Francona, John Farrell, the pitching coach. Red Sox and their fans have to be pleased and impressed with what they're seeing from Clay Buchholz so far. 3 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 run on 4 hits. Pretty well hit to left. Back is Youkilis on the run. Cannot get to the baseball. And Damon will scoot into second. He's there with 1 out. And a mock Uke chant from the fans here at Yankee Stadium. He came close but could not make the catch.
Well, the first ball he dropped, you could say that there was a glare, but he didn't go after this ball well. I think this is going to be the last time this year that Kevin Youkilis starts in left field. Only 2 games, but he has not looked well out there at all. And Terry Francona telling you in the 4th inning that if he makes a mistake, it's his fault. Now you can tell he is just totally uncomfortable out there.
Here's Teixeira, runner at second, 1 out. Yankees lead by 1. And Buchholz with a changeup for a strike. Both those balls that Youkilis has struggled with out and left, hit by Johnny Damon. The error back in the 1st inning, then this one that goes for a double, but could have been caught. Was not caught by Youkilis in left. 0-1 pitch. Teixeira takes the ball. Talked about how easy Sabathia makes it look throwing in the upper 90s. Buchholz is a maximum effort guy. He's not all that big. 6'3", 190. He puts just about everything he's got into a delivery. He can hit the mid-90s with his fastball and a changeup around 80. The 1-1. Breaking ball is up in the count, 2-1.
Not quite the torque that Tim Lincecum, the brilliant young right-hander, 25-year-old right-hander for the San Francisco Giants, has, but you get the idea.
Buchholz with a long look and a 2-1s in the dirt. 3-1 with Rodriguez on deck.
San Francisco Giants tied with the Colorado Rockies. Identical records, 11 games over 500. They're 60-49. Major league teams that would not want to face the Giants if they got into the postseason. Dangerous team in a short series with that great starting pitching of theirs.
Yeah, it's not just Lincecum, it's that entire staff.
Nat Cain.
3-1 pitch is high, and that puts 2 on with 1 out for Rodriguez. 4 walks now from Buchholz. And here is A-Rod, who's 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts to short. A Yankee team that is 54-27 since Rodriguez came back and activated on May 8th. Strike one. The obvious reason that his presence has meant so much is what he does with a bat and the difference he makes protecting Teixeira in front of him in this lineup. But one of the statistical facts is that the team ERA for the Yankees since that point has been much better. So they've done it with pitching as much as they have hitting the baseball. As a group hitting .277 for the season coming in. 0-1 pitch. It's foul, strike 2.
Now breaking that down further, since Rodriguez has come back to the lineup, that 54-27 record, what that means is winning 2 out of 3, 2 out of every 3 games over 3 months. 3 consecutive months winning 2 out of every 3 games. That's pretty spectacular.
Buchholz has induced 2 double plays. He has struck out 3. And a check swing. Buchholz has only 1 play, lobs it over to first, and it's second and third with 2 out. And if the Yankees are going to do anything with this opportunity, New York will ask for something out of Hideki Matsui. Matsui came in over his last 16 games against Boston hitting .352 but little production, only 3 RBIs over those 16 games, and he's 0 for 2 this afternoon.
I think with 2 out, first base open, you have 2 left-handers coming up. I think you choose the guy you want to get out. There's no pitch around situation right here. I think Cano's a better hitter right now than Matsui, and you go after Matsui. If you're wrong, dims the brakes.
Second and third, 2 out. And a foul out of play off to the left. Damon and Teixeira the runners. 2 out. An 0-1 count on Matsui, who has 52 RBIs this season. Ball 1. The Red Sox against Sabathia will have the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, Kochman, Green, and Ellsbury in the 6th. Here's a 1-1. Low. Well, all the runs and all the hits happened on Thursday. First game of this 4-game series, a 13-6 win for the New York Yankees. Jabba Chamberlain started, got through 5, but really helped by his offense. Since Friday night and here this afternoon, 3 runs, 18 hits. The Red Sox are 4 for their last 61 swinging the bat. Counts 2-1 on Matsui. And the line drive is foul. 2-2.
Looks like a changeup to Matsui.
And it was a comebacker. Buchholz underhands. Clay Buchholz has pitched 5, allowed 1 run on 5 hits. But Sabathia has been even better. 6th inning at Yankee Stadium, 1-0 New York.
If you're like a lot of people, you have high blood pressure and you have high cholesterol. You've taken steps to try and lower both your numbers, but how close are you to your goals? There may be more you can do. Only Catawet combines 2 proven medicines in a single pill to significantly lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. In a clinical study of patients with slightly elevated blood pressure and cholesterol, Catawet helped 48% reach both goals in just 4 weeks.
Catawit is one of many treatment options, in addition to diet and exercise, that you can discuss with your doctor. Catawit is not for everyone. It's not for people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect.
How close are you to where you want to be? Ask your doctor if Catawit can help you go for both your goals.
Applebee's 2 for $20. It's real food at the right price. This is the Primo stuff. Choose 1 appetizer and 2 premium entrees, just $20 every day. Start with our spinach and artichoke dip or boneless buffalo wings. Then 2 signature entrees like our 7-ounce house sirloin or Oriental chicken salad. Generous portions, genius price.
It just takes 2.
2 for $20, only at Applebee's.
Yo, 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 may your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. And may you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. And may your heart always be joyful. And may your song always be sung. Sing it. May you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Every generation refreshes the world.
Cool.
It's a beautiful day, and Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Gillette Body Wash, is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Catawit and by Pepsi. Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. Here are the Red Sox batting in the top of the 6th inning, and Casey Kotchman over the top of a pitch under his hand, strike 1. Kotchman struck out his first time. Only 1 base runner on a 1-out walk to Ortiz last inning against Sabathia. And strike 2. Everybody talked about the $423.5 million paid to 3 players over the offseason. Sabathia on that list. Look at the starting pitchers and their pitching lines. Whether you talk about Sabathia or A.J. Burnett, who pitched last night, certainly Teixeira, who has the only RBI of the day, they are all front and center in this series and have all settled into a nice groove here in the Bronx.
First year for Sabathia, first year for Burnett, first year for Teixeira, first year for the ballpark. And what makes these last 2 games so unusual, the new stadium is the only park in the majors which has averaged more than 3 home runs a game.
Strike 3 is called as Kotchman looked like he almost tried to dip his elbow in there. A breaking ball is called strike 3, and that is 6 strikeouts for Sabathia.
Watch the the right shoulder, and then you could see the right elbow, and that's what Joe was talking about. It almost looked like he wanted to be hit intentionally.
That ought to give you an indication as to how well Sabathia's thrown.
A no-hitter here in the 6th.
1 out, nobody on, and the number 9 batter is Nick Green. Ball 1 up and away. Green bounced out to second his first time.
It's almost like the Yankee fans here, and it's certainly a lot of Red Sox fans, are stunned at the types of ball games that have been played in the last 24 hours. Last night's 15-inning affair and today.
Here is a shot into left off the end of the bat, right at Damon. 2 out. How about the last 2 days in the starting pitching that this series has seen? Whether it was last night, Beckett and Burnett, or today, Sabathia and Buchholz. 25 and a third innings pitched, 22 strikeouts, and only 10 hits. And against the starters, only 1 run.
And it says something about a pitcher with 2 out in the 6th inning, whether they're no hits or not. And you can't think of a ball that's been hit hard. And that's the case with the Red Sox.
Ellsbury takes a breaking ball for a strike. Jacoby bounced out, struck out. And a ball into center field. The no-hitter is gone, and the Red Sox have the tying run on with 2 out here in the 6th. And the crowd appreciates the effort. So 1 on, 2 out, and Pedroia, who is 0 for 2, stands in.
Sabathia does not have a good move to first base. 50 stolen bases for Jacoby Ellsbury.
This is a time to run. Jose Molina will be ready to throw. He's the Yankee catcher. Quick delivery by Sabathia. And Pedroia is now in the hole 0-2.
Quick delivery and a quasi slide step. Slide step, for you folks who may not know, means that the right foot of the left-hander is not picked up all the way as it normally would be when he's in his windup. He slides it along the ground about 3-4 inches above the ground, like that.
And a foul tip hung on to by Molina. The inning is over. A strikeout, number 7 for Sabathia, who gives up his first hit. And Francona will argue as much as he can with Jim Joyce. We go into the bottom of the 6th inning. Yankees will bat as they lead it 1-0 at Yankee Stadium.
There are side mirrors, and then there are the indicator light warning, radar sensor linking, blind spot penetrating side mirrors of the all-new Ford Taurus. So what doesn't show up in your mirror can still show up on your mirror. We speak car. We speak innovation. Introducing the all-new Taurus from Ford. Drive one.
We flame broil it and grab it fresh off the grill because you wanted it that way. We make it big because you wanted it that way. Maybe you're noticing a theme here. Whopper Jr., only $1. Big flame fresh taste, only at Burger King.
It's time. The summer's best action film has arrived.
America back! Watch me kick up like Amazing Grace! I'm gonna hurt this place!
G.I. Joe, rated PG-13.
Here's Ryan getting ready to make his approach.
to the men's room.
Looks like he needs to go urgently.
True. And there's Casey about to drive, also to the men's room.
He has been going over and over.
They ought to see their doctors.
Could be male urinary symptoms due to BPH and enlarged prostate.
For many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week.
And if their doctors do prescribe Flomax, they could get up to $40 off new or refill prescriptions.
So guys already on Flomax can also save. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer.
Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting.
If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen.
Ask your doctor if Flomax is right for you.
And call 877-4FLOMAX for more information and to see if you qualify for up to $40 off new or refill prescriptions.
For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
Time for our Flomax replay, and it's that foul tip by Pedroia. This ended the top of this 6th inning. It looked like it ticked the bat of Pedroia and sounded like it hit the bat of Pedroia. A mild argument as we went to break. Here's another look at it. Listen. A little glancing blow and a strikeout. The 7th of the game for Sabathia ended the top of this inning. And here's Cano. Usually first pitch hunting. He takes a strike. He's 2 for 2. Cano, then Swisher, then Cabrera. A nice job done by Clay Buchholz here this afternoon. That's strike 2 on Robinson Cano.
Thought you had the perfect question for Terry Francona in our meeting with him before the game. What's holding Clay Buchholz back? And Terry said confidence. He has shown a lot of confidence today.
0-2. You can see why a lot of teams are interested in Clay Buchholz. The Red Sox were to ever put him in a deal, and why the Red Sox are reluctant to make him part of the package to get somebody from another major league team, as that one is fouled out of play. And Cano is part of a lineup that can get relentless. Yankees started the day without Posada in there. Certainly changes the look. This is a group that can come at you pretty much 1 through 8. At times 1 through 9 it becomes, as they say, a circular lineup. Keeps turning over, and there's a shot into left center field. That ball will be cut off by Ellsbury. It's a leadoff double for Cano, who's 3 for 3.
On the changeup, that's the first changeup the Yankees have hit for a hit today, and Cano really stays on it. The ball tailing away, rifles it into left center field for a double. Double number 30 on the year for Cano.
And here's Swisher.
Yankees have 6 hits, Cano half of them.
Swisher is 0 for 1 with a walk. Robinson Cano 7 for 13 in this series, which will conclude tomorrow with Pettit and Lester. That's off the plate. Martinez has only 1 play, out at first, and over to third is Cano as the Yankees and manager Joe Girardi play a little small ball. Bunting with Swisher with his 18 home runs, and he does his job getting Cano over to third.
That is a good bunt by Nick Swisher. Victor Martinez out to talk to Buchholz now. Cabrera's a contact hitter. Certainly a guy who can hit a fly ball deep enough to score the run. You're wondering whether the Red Sox would pitch around Cabrera. And I think John Farrell's coming out right now to help a guy who was just obtained by the trade route 10 days ago, Victor Martinez. That eliminates all doubt.
We gave you our trivia question, and that was from Gillette. What team had the most players with 10 or more home runs in a season? The answer is the 2004 Detroit Tigers, who had 11 players with 10 or more home runs. Yankees have 9. And here's one of them. Cabrera has been very good in the late innings. We're in the 6th. And the Red Sox will put Melky Cabrera on and take their chances with Jose Molina.
Yeah, this is not clear cut, but I think it's the right move for the Red Sox to make right here. There's no way that Joe Girardi will remove Molina for a pinch hitter, not when he's catching a no-hitter. I beg your pardon, a one-hitter. The shutout's the most important thing, so Molina will remain in there, one would think. Guy's got a rhythm with the pitcher. You don't pinch hit for him in a situation like this unless you're behind, and the Yankees aren't. Who understands that better than Girardi as a former major league catcher?
So there's ball 4, the intentional walk. First and third, one out for Jose Molina. Upcoming games on Fox Saturday Baseball on the 15th. It's next week. San Francisco at the Mets. San Francisco is right at the top, tied for the wild card lead in the National League. Philadelphia at Atlanta. Philadelphia in charge in the NL East. Yankees at Boston. Cubs at Dodgers August 22nd. Mets at Cubs August 29th. And then the Red Sox at the White Sox. Could be a big one. Who knows, maybe even Jake Peavy will be pitching in that game for the White Sox on September 5th. Check local listings for the games in your area. Here's Molina, first and third, one out. And a check on Cabrera, who has a small lead. Molina struck out and walked. Now action starts for the Red Sox out in their bullpen. Cano led off the inning with a double. He's at third. Ball one upstairs to Molina. Over 100 pitches is Clay Buchholz. That was number 101. This is a Yankee team that is 45-1 when leading after 6 innings. That'll be the case here today. And Molina will add to that lead as Ellsbury makes the catch. Tagging and scoring is Cano, and it's 2-0 New York here in the 6th. So the bunt pays off after the leadoff double for Joe Girardi, and the sacrifice fly from Jose Molina, his 8th RBI of the season. And it brings in Derek Jeter with 1 on, 2 out. In the 7th, the Red Sox will have the heart of their lineup: Martinez, Youkilis, and Ortiz. Melky Cabrera, the runner at first, is a threat to go as the pitch is down and in, ball 1.
Talked about the confidence of Clay Buchholz. Obviously the game's the most important thing, but the way you develop pitchers, that was Ramon Ramirez warming for the Red Sox. But the way you develop that confidence is allow a young pitcher to let him get himself out of trouble. There are a lot of young guys, because of pitch counts, that come up to the major leagues now, and they rarely pitch out of trouble in the minors because they're on pitch counts. If the pitch count, as an example, is 95 to 100 pitches, bases loaded, a guy really doesn't have the experience to do what Buchholz is trying to do right now. Pitch out of a jam. One guy who's trying to change that is Nolan Ryan, who's president of the Texas Rangers.
Fly ball into right. J.D. Drew coming on and makes a nice catch. Got a good jump, and the inning is over. Another run for New York. They double their lead 2-zip after 6 at Yankee Stadium. Back after this from your local Fox station.
You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox.
Florida RV's having a huge bank repo sale. Get unbelievable deals like diesel pushers starting at $20,000. Or this 08 36-foot toy hauler for $39,000. Why buy new when you can hit the road in style for hundreds, even thousands of dollars less? Everything must go during the huge bank repo sale going on now at Florida RVs. Visit FloridaRVs.org or their showroom at 3880 Firestone Road.
These two here, guys. It's all good, man. Don't sweat it. Don't worry about it.
You know what? Follow me.
There you go, guys. Enjoy the game.
Heineken Light, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, can you pass me one? Please?
Heineken Light. Give yourself a good name.
Hello, I'm attorney Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm only represents men in the area of family law.
We can handle all of your family law needs, such as divorce, alimony, paternity, children issues, and modifications.
Our goal is to protect the rights of men and fight for a fair result. Every other weekend is not enough. If you have a family law issue, call Kenny Lay & Associates. Men only, family law only.
I'm Dawn Lopez.
And I'm Jamie Warner.
Start a new morning routine with Action News This Morning.
Plan your day with the First Alert forecast and live traffic reports.
We've got everything you need to get your family out the door on time.
Action News This Morning is coming to Fox 30 on Monday the 17th. Tune in from 5 to 7.
Relieve your aggravation with a daily dose of animation. 90 minutes of two-dimensional treatment. Toon Therapy, 5 nights a week on Fox 30.
By Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. We go into the 7th inning, last third of this game, and Sabathia has been in charge since the beginning. He's allowed 1 walk, 1 hit. That's it. Leads 2-0. First up, the number 3 hitter, Victor Martinez. Red Sox need something to get their offense going. That's the direction they went at the trading deadline by picking up Victor Martinez. We're going to slug a little more. We're going to score some more runs. They tried to add to their pitching staff, notably their starting rotation. It didn't work out. They added the bat of Victor Martinez, a very good addition. But in this series alone, the 3, 4, 5 hitters, just 2 for 32. They need to score runs to try and help out what is a struggling group front end of their pitching staff. And Martinez comes up empty on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, strike 2. Victor's popped up, grounded out. Sabathia struck out 7, walked only 1. That is low. 2-2. Prior to the 2-out hit by Ellsbury, a clean single into center, first hit of the game last inning. The Red Sox were 4 for their last 63. And yesterday hit 1 ball to the left side of the infield. In 15 innings, hit 1 ball to the left side of the infield, 1 ground ball to Jeter. That was it. Which is hard to believe in 15 innings of play, and had only 4 hits. And Dave Magadan, the hitting coach, is trying to find the right words to inspire his group. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Martinez. Leading it off in the 7th. That's Lowe, 3-2. Red Sox trying to put their leadoff man on for the first time in this game, and they do with a walk. Molina can't find it. Victor Martinez isn't halfway to first base, and the walk is the second issued by Sabathia. Well, here it is, folks. The NFL is back with 2 Fox preseason specials beginning on Thursday, August 20th. The Eagles take on Peyton Manning and the Colts. Then on Friday, August 21st, the Titans battle Tony Romo and the Cowboys. That's the opening of the new stadium down in Texas. Both games start at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and high definition only on Fox.
Peyton Manning just signing a new contract.
Eli.
I beg your pardon, Eli Manning. Peyton will be next.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think that the conversation will start. Let's look at the Eli deal, and then we'll go north. And you stop me when I've said a number that seems reasonable. Here's a pitch up and away for a ball, and Sabathia, after the leadoff walk, gets a visit from Jose Molina. That is the power of winning a Super Bowl and doing it for a team in New York, and Eli Manning cashing in. Giants are happy to get it done, and you can bet Eli Manning is thrilled beyond words. Answering a lot of questions a couple of years ago, getting through that postseason and then helping that team get down the field and beat New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 on, nobody out. Youkilis shoots it foul. Strike 1. Kevin 0 for 2. Applied to right, grounded out. And a pitch missing, 2-1. Sabathia was quoted as saying the best is yet to come. Left-hander started this day 11-7, an ERA just under 4, and he feels like he's starting to get things put together. Return to that dominant form he showed last year with Milwaukee after the Brewers picked him up. Now after the walk, he's 3-1 on Youkilis, with David Ortiz waiting on deck.
Only time all day that Sabathia has had a problem with 2 consecutive hitters. He walked Martinez behind to Youkilis.
There's a strike, full count. Kevin Youkilis lines 1 into left center field. That's a base hit. Red Sox have put the first 2 on here in the 7th inning with a walk and a hit, and it brings in David Ortiz. Ortiz has been one of the best clutch hitters in the game since he first put on a Boston Red Sox uniform. But this year it hasn't happened. From the 7th inning on this season, he's hitting only .154. However, he did take CC Sabathia deep on June 11th. July was a much better month for Ortiz. That home run in June. And that's when things started to turn around. Up until June 2nd for Ortiz, he was hitting 186 with 1 homer and 18 RBIs. 255 since with 14 home runs, 43 RBIs. Still a big threat at the plate as he takes ball 1. David Ortiz is 1 for 19. The runners in scoring position. Over the past week, and he gets a good rip and fouls it straight back. 1-1.
David Ortiz, the last designated hitter in the American League to hit a home run this year. His first home run coming on May 20th. Good swing there, but behind it.
He's in a stretch where he's struggling. 1 for his last 23. A 1-1. Into the Yankee dugout, strike 2. Ortiz in his career 7 out of 22 against Sabathia. Ball 2. He went around and strikes out, and Ortiz argues with Jim Joyce.
Take a look at how Sabathia worked to Ortiz. The first pitch is slider low. Ortiz fouls one back. He's behind it. In front of this one, 1-2 pitch misses, and the slider from Sabathia. I think Ortiz had a good argument there. I thought that ball was low.
Question was, did he go around? I thought he held up.
I thought he held up.
But he's now 1 for his last 20 with runners in scoring position, and Mike Lowell takes a strike from Sabathia. Very important 8th strikeout for the Yankee left-hander. 2 on, 1 out. To the second baseman, Cano. Jeter struggles and still turns the double play as he got over the body of Youkilis. "4-6-3" with a hiccup in the middle of it. And that double play sends us to the 7th inning stretch. Sabathia in charge, leading 2-0.
In uncertain times, we could all use a little certainty, especially at the pump. So now Hyundai Assurance helps with something else. Gas. A whole year's worth. Buy select new sedans and you'll pay just $1.49 a gallon at 9 out of 10 gas stations nationwide. Plus, in the new Sonata, you'll get up to 32 miles per gallon for even greater gas savings.
Right now, Hyundai will advance you the government allowance if your trade-in qualifies, so you'll pay as low as $12,200 for a new Sonata.
Whoa, what are those like?
I'll tell you what they're like. You ever been face down in lava sauce, son? Getting ambushed by jalapenos, your tongue's burning. But you get so crazy, heck, you start lacking the pain.
What's with the voice?
Volcano Nachos changes a man.
Taco Bell's new Volcano Nachos with jalapenos and scorching lava sauce. They're only for the brave. Think outside the bun.
Come on, our time is finally
Sometimes being there means helping you afford everything a true fan needs. That's why State Farm has so many ways to save. So there's more for the little things.
Here's Tiger Woods doing what he does best, setting up, preparing.
He does it better than anyone else.
Makes all the difference, Jim.
Wait, I think he's ready.
Once again, excellent choice.
You know, we've come to expect nothing less.
He can see us.
Prepare your skin with Gillette's new line of hydrating body wash. It has 3 times more hydrators that lock in moisture and help eliminate dry skin.
Is that going to be cash or credit?
Check.
We only take little checks.
Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Gillette Hydra Scrub Body Wash, a powerful clean without dry skin, and sponsored by Hyundai. Now Hyundai Assurance can even lower your price at the pump, and by Avodart. Give you now the Mercedes-Benz E-Class Attention Assist of the game. And it was Cano, Jeter, a hop, still reset, and got Lowell on the double play to end the top of this 7th. And the reaction from Teixeira, then Sabathia. And here's a new pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, right-hander Ramon Ramirez. A Zantac relief pitcher profile. Heartburn, attack it with Zantac.
Very good deal during the offseason, coming up with Ramirez from Kansas City, 5-3 on the year. A very, very good changeup. In fact, similar stuff as a reliever as Buchholz had as a starter. Fastball, changeup, the best 2 pitches.
Part of the order he'll have to deal with here in the 7th inning, and there's Youkilis, who comes away a little banged up from that slide at second base when he tried to take out Jeter. Good fastball, good zip anyway, and it's high for ball 1. Here's the slide. Spikes high, and Youkilis missed him.
Normally, guys who are right-handed throwers, I know this sounds strange, but guys who are right-handed throwers, they slide on their left side. I think Youkilis is suffering from sliding on the wrong side, and that's his right side. Good play by Jeter, though, to stay with that play, realizing who was running in Mike Lowell.
Little self-preservation mixed in, and he had time enough to still get the double play. 2 balls and a strike on Damon, who pops it into left center field, and there's Youkilis. And there's out number 1. Dame's picking on Youkilis. Keeps hitting it to him. The in-game box score for the Yankees brought to you by Hyundai. Introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Damon has a hit, a double that got over the head of Youkilis. Teixeira has an RBI. And the other RBI belongs to the number 9 man, Jose Molina, sac fly in the 6th. Teixeira takes a strike. Teixeira struck out. RBI single, a walk. Skips in, 1 ball, 1 strike. Talk about confidence. That was on display early when, despite the big contract that Teixeira inked, come to the Yankees, he didn't panic. After that slow start, hitting 182 for the 3rd of May. So 1 month into the season, he had only 3 homers and 10 RBIs, and then clicked it in with the return of Rodriguez to the lineup, and this one was too close for a lot of Yankee fans liking. 2-1. Inside corner, 2-2. Full count. Home runs per game here at the new Yankee Stadium have dropped as the months have flown by.
Which is odd.
It really is. They thought it would go up. 3-2 pitch is up and away, a 1-out walk. After the first month, teams combined to average 4 home runs per game in this stadium in April. It's gone down to the point where in July it was 2.5 home runs per game. So far there have been 7 hit in 2+ games in August. Rodriguez has one of them, which broke a 72 at bat homerless drought to win the game here last night. Teixeira on base for the 3rd consecutive time, a 1-out walk. And some discussion between Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire, and Victor Martinez. Ramirez hits Rodriguez, and he's thrown out of the game. And Terry Francona comes charging out of the dugout. He's hoping Ramirez can take pressure off the rest of this bullpen. Something was going on there prior to the pitch as Joyce was talking to Victor Martinez, and then whether it's related or not, the first pitch is up and in, hits Alex Rodriguez. These two had a little give and take on Thursday night. Seems an odd time, if it was indeed the case, for somebody to intentionally hit a batter. And Jim Joyce had a quick trigger.
I thought so. I mean, why? You got a 2-run ball game. Why would Ramirez want to hit Alex Rodriguez? I think that's what Terry Francona is arguing right now, and who can argue with that logic? I mean, this is a team trying to stop the bleeding. But to me, Thursday night has nothing to do with it. I mean, you got a 2-run game here. That's the way I'd look at it.
Here's Thursday night, and Terry Francona saying why. He just lost Ramirez. That's Melanson, who threw high to Pedroia. Next pitch gets him. Then Pedroia and Posada walk down the line. Here's the pitch to Teixeira that just is an up and in pitch. I mean,
yeah, that's part of the game.
Too
it's
much
part of
into
pitching.
that.
Right.
But it was up and in, and then on the first pitch to Alex Rodriguez, that one rides up and in, hits Rodriguez, it looked like, on that padding on his left elbow, and immediately Jim Joyce throws Ramon Ramirez out of the game.
If you retaliate against a team, you don't pick a 2-0 team when you're fighting for a pennant to retaliate. The way I look at it.
I agree with you. I mean,
yeah.
Boston needs to win this ball game.
Absolutely.
They're in danger of falling 5.5 games out. They come in having lost their last 4. Their bullpen is already worn out. You just bring Ramon Ramirez into the game. If they were intentionally trying to hit somebody, they wouldn't burn Ramirez in this situation. You wouldn't think, and Jim Joyce immediately threw Ramirez out of the game, and there's really no argument on the part of Terry Francona. He just lost one of his pitchers out of the bullpen, and we'll have to see who they bring out of the bullpen. The Red Sox, as we told you earlier, called up Enrique Gonzalez in case Clay Buchholz needed help early, just because of the state of affairs in their bullpen. They may go that direction right now.
I think the dominant question, and you picked up on it, Joe, was why? You saw Terry Francona asking that question of Jim Joyce several times. And I think that that's a question that has to be answered now. Why in the world would he run him after that?
So the new pitcher, Gonzalez, will have as long as he needs to get loose. We'll take a break. 2 on with 1 out when we come back, and Hideki Matsui coming up.
Yeah. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. And may you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. And may your heart always be joyful. And may your song always be sung. Sing it. May you stay forever young. May you stay.
Every generation refreshes the world. Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball.
We didn't know which of the 3,296 Holiday Inn hotels you'd be staying in. So we're refreshing all of them. Holiday Inn, official partner of Major League Baseball road trips.
So how does the iPhone make traveling easier? Well, if you'd like your own personal tour of Paris, there's an app for that.
You're standing at the center of France.
Or you'd like to figure out the metro, there's an app for that. Or you'd like to send a postcard home, there's an app for that too. Because there's an app for just about anything, only on the iPhone.
Grady Sizemore wanted to be a major leaguer from day one. Instead of a pillow, he slept on his glove. Instead of a college football scholarship, he chose center field. When you see how hard he works every day, one thing is clear. This boy with a dream has become a man on a mission. This is beyond determination. This is beyond baseball.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
We look ahead to next Saturday on Fox. Don't miss the action. Baseball's pennant races heat up. San Francisco here in New York, and they take on the New York Mets. Giants, Mets next Saturday only on Fox. Also the Phillies and Braves, Indians and Twins. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Here's the wild card race, tied at the top. The Giants and the Rockies at 60 and 49. What a turnaround it's been for Colorado, Tim, and I would say pretty much out of nowhere for San Francisco. Nobody expected that, but when you look at what they've done as a pitching staff, and I know Lincecum gets headlines and for good reason, and the Indians, but they're doing it with their arms out in San Francisco.
And so much more than the Colorado Rockies. I mean, everybody thought after the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season that perhaps the Rockies season was over. They fired their manager. Jim Tracy took over, and he's worked miracles with that team.
Really has. Alex Rodriguez was hit by a pitch. That was the end of the day immediately for Ramon Ramirez, and that means Enrique Gonzalez, who was just added to the roster prior to the game today, will take over. Now, he's been a starter this season at AAA Pawtucket. It was his day to pitch today, but for a guy who's bounced back and forth between starting and relieving in the minor leagues, here he is, Enrique Gonzalez, taking over in the bottom of the 7th inning, 2 on 1 out in a 2-0 game, trying to keep his new team in this action, facing CC Sabathia on the other side in a game that the Red Sox would love to jump up and steal from New York.
Gonzalez signed to a minor league contract last December, but think of the circumstances under which he is pitching right now. Almost assuredly he will not come inside to anybody.
And right on cue over the outside corner, strike one. Well, Gonzalez has been in the big leagues before, in 06 with Arizona, same in 07, last year with San Diego. pitched out of the bullpen for the Padres, and today coming out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. 27-year-old right-hander Enrique Gonzalez from Venezuela. Out of the strike zone, ball 1. An all Venezuelan battery between Victor Martinez and Enrique Gonzalez. A walk, a hit batsman in the inning. Matsui waits for a 1-1. 2-1. And we've talked about this before. Anytime a guy's been a starter, he's sitting there in the bullpen, not thinking he's coming in the game, and then the whole world is waiting for him to get ready. A lot of times guys say, okay, I'm ready, and they're not.
Yeah, I get your drift, and you're exactly right. Again, particularly the circumstances, he's coming in the game.
Matsui fouls it back and out of play. 2-2.
It's so much easier to hit when you know a pitcher is not going to crowd you. And the reason a guy like Gonzalez is not going to crowd Matsui, because you can crowd Matsui. But the reason for that is the fact that Jim Joyce ran Ramon Ramirez. So this gives a hitter a huge advantage when you can take that one part of the plate away from the pitcher, and that's the inside part.
Set up inside, and Matsui just floats it into left field. That's a base hit. Teixeira will hold at third, and the bases are loaded. Teixeira had to make sure that was going to get out of the reach of Green. It did. It loads the bases with 1 out for Cano.
Tough base running play for the guy on second when he has no speed. A little lob shot over the head of Nick Green for Matsui. And you could see Teixeira trying to determine whether it's going to drop or not, even sliding into third base.
Robinson Cano with the most first pitch hits across baseball in 2009. He has 1 in this game. He's 1 grand slam in his career. So if he goes after the first pitch from Gonzalez. Strike 1. Good fastball over the inside part. The 0-1 to Cano with the bases loaded is strike 2.
Two good fastballs from Gonzalez. One on the inside corner, this one on the outside corner.
Too far inside, ball 1. Yankees have 7 hits. Cano has 3 of them. Red Sox have 2 hits. Had a rally brewing in the top of this 7th inning, but a double play hit into by Lowell ended it. 2-0 New York. Bases loaded. 1 out. 2-2. From 0-2 to 3-2. to first. The scoop by Kochman, throw home for the out. 2 out.
Good decision on Kochman's part, realizing the speed of Cano is not going to allow him to complete the 3-6-3 double play. He is a terrific defensive player, and this is a very tough hop. On the short hop, tough play. Right decision.
Kochman keeps it a 2-run game and now leaves it in the lap of Nick Swisher. And Enrique Gonzalez is 1 out away from giving his new team a lift here in the 7th inning at Yankee Stadium. Swisher in this game has reached 1 time on a walk. Hitless, and he takes a ball. Bounced into a double play in the 2nd, walked in the 4th, dropped down a sacrifice punt in the 6th. Two and 0.
Talk about a great hitting situation right here with the bases loaded, no place to put Nick Swisher, and realizing that Gonzalez has to throw a fastball. Swisher's thinking about putting this game out of reach.
Ball 3. Three and 1. Nick Swisher with only 3 home runs of his 18 this season here at the new Yankee Stadium. The Yankees with only 1 grand slam hit this year. Got under it, popped it down the right field line. It's a foul ball. Kochman can't get to it. Did all he could, and it's a full count.
Hear that phrase a lot, good effort. I mean, how can you make a better effort than Kochman did on this ball into the stands? That was a home run swing by Nick Swisher.
Runner at 3rd will tiptoe. That's Alex Rodriguez. Runner at 2nd will go Matsui. Runner at 1st as well, Cano. Bases loaded, 2 out, 3-2 count. Left side, foul ball, out of play. If you're just joining us, it is 7 o'clock in the East. CC Sabathia has allowed 2 hits, no runs through 7. Cano has 3 hits. A lot of good starting pitching the last 2 games. Now, a 4-game series. this long weekend between the Yankees and Red Sox. Another 3-2. And it's 3-0 New York. Rodriguez, who was hit by the pitch by Ramon Ramirez, comes home to score on a bases loaded walk to Swisher. So it's 3-0 and a chance for more from Melky Cabrera, who is 1 for 2. Cabrera has a grand slam this season. 5 for 15, and he has come up with a lot of big hits late in games for New York this season. Sharing a lot of the playing time with Brett Gardner, who's out with a broken thumb. And right now Cabrera's got a stranglehold on that center field job. A 1-0 pitch to first. Diving stop by Kochman. He flips for the out. What a good play by Casey Kochman. He keeps the Red Sox in the game. The Yankees get a run through all that, leave the bases loaded, leave 3-0 as we go into the 8th inning. Kochman, 2 good defensive plays in the 7th. 3-0 New York.
I was always going. Having to go in the middle of traffic and just starting and stopping. Having to go in the middle of a ball game and then not being able to go once I got there. And going at night. I thought I had a going problem. My doctor said I had a growing problem. It wasn't my bladder. My prostate was growing. I had an enlarging prostate that was causing my urinary symptoms. My doctor prescribed Avodart.
Over time, Avodart actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms.
So I can go more easily when I need to go, and go less often.
Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to risk of a specific birth defect. Do not donate blood until 6 months after stopping Avodart. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely sexual side effects, swelling, or tenderness of the breasts can occur. Only your healthcare provider can tell if symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. So have regular exams. Call your doctor today. Avodart, help take care of your growing problem.
I think that possibly, maybe I'm falling for you. Yes, there's a chance that I've fallen quite hard over you. I've seen the waters that make your eyes shine. Now I'm shining too.
More bars in more places. AT&T, the best coverage worldwide.
Now the colors of life can last a lifetime. Valspar, the beauty goes on.
So on nights when Dad works late, we'll treat ourselves a bit at Olive Garden.
Ooh, breadsticks.
It's my chance to ask about his girlfriend.
Enjoy our new grilled chicken crostata with pasta and a tomato Alfredo, or new grilled steak crostata with a 4-cheese sauce at Olive Garden.
We move into the 8th inning, and J.D. Drew first up. Red Sox now down 3-0, and CC Sabathia has been terrific. He has allowed no runs, 2 hits. He's walked 2, struck out 8. He got into a jam last inning. He got a strikeout with 2 on, nobody out, then followed it with a double play ball off the bat of Lowell. A 1 pitch is fouled back, strike 2.
Home plate umpire Jim Joyce had a very interesting conversation with CC Sabathia on the mound between innings. I mean, it was odd that he went out there. I guess explaining that anything in his opinion that was inside, off the plate, at a hitter, he'd be gone from the game. But the interesting thing to me about that is no such warning was given to Ramon Ramirez. Here's Jim talking to CC Sabathia. I guess Jim figuring that Sabathia can figure that out. That if he comes inside to a hitter and it's deemed intentional that he'd be gone, but just an odd trip to me. To our knowledge, we're talking about it between innings. To our knowledge, no warning was issued by the umpires to either team before the game. So the warning was in the way of an ejection of Ramirez.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Drew. And a line drive caught by Cano, 1 out. Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball, and they congratulate. The fans have voted July's MLB Clutch Performer of the Month. Eric Ibar, Mark Burley, Garrett Jones in the National League, Ludwig, Jonathan Sanchez, who had the no-hitter, Derek Lee. To learn more about the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month award, go to PepsiClutch.com. 1 out. Here's Kochman, who's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts and has been overmatched by Sabathia. Kochman struck out twice. Nick Green on deck, bottom part of the order, and Sabathia is giving the Yankees exactly what they needed today after that long game here last night. Strike 2. Last time the Yankees shut out the Red Sox in back-to-back games, August 27th and 28th in 02 at Fenway Park. It's also the last time the Red Sox were shut out in back-to-back games, as Kochman just gets a piece to stay up there. Red Sox trying to avoid a loss here today in their second 5-game losing streak since the All-Star break, and trying to avoid falling 5.5 out. Which would be the biggest lead by either team in the AL East so far in 2009 over the other. That's foul. Red Sox led the Yankees by 5 June 23rd. Yankees are the hot team now. 1 out, nobody on. 0-2 count on Kochman. Way high, ball 1.
Team that's closing in on the Red Sox, the Texas Rangers, only a game out in the wild card standing. They lost their game to the Angels today, 3-2.
We can even show you how it happened if you'd like to know.
I would.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Kochman strikes out for the 3rd time, and that's strikeout number 9. Here is the DirecTV game break. Bottom of the 6th inning. Nobody on or out. 2-1 Rangers. Vlad Guerrero goes deep. His 6th of the year. Ties it 2-2 off Millwood. Bottom of the 7th. Nobody on, 1 out. 2-2 game, and Eric Ibar's had a great season. Solo home run, his 5th of the year off Guardado. 3-2 Angels. And you can follow your favorite MLB team no matter where you live with DirecTV. And right now, Sabathia is out of the ball game because of pitch count, no doubt, as opposed to effectiveness. He leaves with a strikeout and a standing ovation. We are in the top of the 8th. Yankees lead at 3-0. 2 out, nobody on.
Put a refreshing spin on your summer. Bud Light Lime. Superior drinkability. Ultimate refreshment. A splash of 100% natural lime flavor. One taste and you'll find the summer state of mind. Bud Light Lime.
Wood finishing projects can feel too big to tackle, but Minwax always makes it easy with rich wood stains and clear protective finishes. It's that simple. Minwax makes and keeps wood beautiful.
How bad is your heartburn?
My heartburn? It's like a volcano in my chest. Boom! But one Zantac later, and that volcano is history. All day or all night.
Heartburn, attack it. Zantac.
These days, it's not just a new car you need, it's a new car maker. One like Hyundai that looks beyond its needs and helps you with yours. On things like gas, a whole year's worth. Buy select new models and you'll pay just $1.49 a gallon, and not a penny more. Plus, in a new Accent, you'll get up to 35 miles per gallon for even greater gas savings.
Right now, Hyundai will advance you the government allowance if your trade-in qualifies, so you'll pay as low as $7,670 for a new Accent.
Miami unleashes their Wildcat offense on the Pats, crushing their hopes for another undefeated season. And you missed the game because of what? Because you have cable? Ugh. Don't be that guy. Just get DirecTV. It's the only way to watch any game you want, no matter where you live. Or you can read about your team in the newspaper the next day. It's up to you.
Get 5 months of our best TV package for free. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
CC Sabathia ties his season high with 100 pitches on the day. He leaves with a strikeout, his 9th of the game, and that is a season high. His first year with the Yankees. And here is Philip Hughes taking over, and what a difference maker, Tim, he's been in the bullpen for the Yankees.
As a starter 2 years ago, 13 starts, he was 5-3, but really unsuccessful. Winless last year in the starting role. And this year, to me, he's been the key guy in the bullpen.
Just overpowering as the count goes to 0-2.
He's allowed the Yankees to feel much better about themselves. Starting Jabba Chamberlain, a lot of criticism because of that. Phil Hughes has been a huge difference for the Yankees this year. Sometimes, in order to mature, you have to be beaten up. And Phil Hughes was beat up in 2007. He was beat up last year, 0-4. Not this year.
And he comes in and shuts the door in the top of the 8th with a strikeout. CC Sabathia said coming in, the best is yet to come. True to his word, he gets into the 8th. He strikes out 9, no runs, 2 hits, in line for the win. Bottom of the 8th at Yankee Stadium. 3-0, New York.
After 4 hours, the dangers of driver fatigue increase by 200%. But with Attention Assist, your new E-Class can actually detect drowsy driving behavior and warn you. This is the new E-Class. This is Mercedes-Benz.
America's pastime. And you're watching it one game at a time? With DirecTV, you can follow up to 8 games live on one screen, and they're all in HD. It's MLB Extra Innings, and of course, it's from DirecTV.
We didn't know which of the 3,296 Holiday Inn hotels you'd be staying in. So we're refreshing all of them. Holiday Inn, official partner of Major League Baseball road trips.
In the cutthroat world of pre-owned auto sales, there are the pros.
I have a $44 haircut.
And then there's these guys.
I think I made a sale. Andy wants to pay in cash, neatly packed in this canvas bag.
Well, that's a bank bag. This Friday, if they want to steal this car lot,
The lot's mine.
they'll have to go through him.
What if I sell every car off the slide? That is rich! Alligators! Who brought alligators?
The Goods. Live hard, sell hard. Rated R. Friday.
To stay on top of my game after 50, I switched to a complete multivitamin with more. Only one a day Men's 50+ Advantage has ginkgo for memory and concentration, plus support for heart health. That's a great call.
One a day Men's.
You accidentally wander from your lane. You were not aware, but your lane-keeping assist was. And after a gentle warning, you steer safely back into your lane. This is the new E-Class. This is Mercedes-Benz.
Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. As we get into the bottom of the 8th inning, Enrique Gonzalez is back to the hill. Jose Molina first up in ball 1. Paul Simon has been here throughout. Had a nice hand during the break prior to the bottom of the 8th. He's 7-0 for the Yankees, 0-2-1 for Boston, and Molina, who has an RBI in this game, hits one off the wall and left. Euclid plays it well and holds Molina to a leadoff single.
The Molina brothers, and there are 3, Benji, Yadier, and Jose, gifted with quick feet and slow legs. None are fast runners. They surely are good catchers.
We said during the All-Star game that you could have made a strong case for Benji Molina, who's been the cleanup hitter out in San Francisco this year, basically by default.
Yeah.
Could have been an All-Star. He is one of the more valuable players on that team. Jose has cemented his spot as the backup to Jorge Posada because of the way he handles the pitching staff. And Yadier Molina, years ago, Tony La Russa said, I don't care if he hits 0. He will catch every day for the Cardinals. And he was a 300 hitter last year. He's an All-Star this year and had one of the few big hits in this last All-Star game in St. Louis.
Yeah.
There's a pitch down and away, and Jeter is up on the count, 2-0. Jeter is 0 for 4 this afternoon's game. Came in hitting .335 since the 11th of June. Grounded out twice, struck out, flied out, and he takes low 3-0. Yankee bullpen right now is a little in between. They'd like to get Rivera loose. If the Yankees add to their lead, it won't be a save chance. You may see Hughes go back out there, and Derek Jeter with a puzzled look back at Jim Joyce as he hears strike 1 instead of ball 4.
Now the one thing that Joe Girardi does not want to do is get Mariano Rivera up without putting him in the game. He rarely will get up to just loosen up. So I take that as a sign that Mariano will be in the game in the top of the 9th inning. Could be wrong, but if it remains a 3-run game, if it goes to a 4-run game or past that, I think Hughes will be back out there.
Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, nobody out. Talked about coming into this game the need for the Red Sox to get their offense going, and the last 4+ games, this being the 5th, 12 runs, 28 hits, 48 strikeouts, and the team as a group hitting .151. Again, at the trading deadline, they wanted to add to their offense. They got Victor Martinez. Second game had a 5-hit game and is a terrific player. Seems like in the rotation now, this is a Boston team that's going to need a little help after designating Smoltz for assignment. Wakefield is hurt. Daisuke Matsuzaka maybe early September. He's had arm fatigue. 3-2 pitch is flied into right, into the corner. That ball is a fair ball. Now they're saying home run. A delayed call and a home run, number 12 for Derek Jeter. 5-0 New York here in the bottom of the 8th. Just got over the top of the wall in right. And after initially putting his hand up to say it was a fair ball, the first base umpire, Bill Miller, said home run. And it's 5-0 New York.
Yep. Looked like it hit the foul screen and popped back just above the yellow line. Nope, right below the yellow line.
No, I think you're right. I think it short hopped that screen on the foul pole and came back on.
Again, that area right there. But had that not been there, common sense tells you that it would have hopped into the stands.
Here is a foul ball down the right field line. It was reviewable. They could have gone that route, didn't. And it's in the books as Jeter's 12th of the year. If it hits that yellow bar, part of the foul pole, that's a home run. Damon rolls one over to the second baseman Pedroia for out number 1. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Gillette Body Wash. And it's sponsored by Holiday Inn, official partner of Major League Baseball road trips, by the all-new Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. There's a strike to Teixeira. Gonzalez ready with another, and Teixeira grounds one to the right side. Kochman has time, flips for the out, 2 away. Let's take another look and see if blown up replay of it. Yep, I think it wedged just underneath, maybe short hop that horizontal yellow pole right there. It's over the wall, part of the foul pole, and a home run. Two out, nobody on. Here is Rodriguez. Alex hit by a pitch, scored a run, and he takes a strike. Hitless on the day. Hitting .259 for the season. In his career, he's never hit less than .285 for a year. 1 ball, 1 strike. On 1-1, 2 out, nobody on, strike 2.
Funny when you think back over the last 8 days or 9 days, the Red Sox are confronting something similar to what the Yankees confronted last weekend in Chicago. The Yankees lost 3 games in a row and then came back to win. The Melky Cabrera hitting for the cycle on Sunday. They beat the White Sox, and that was the first of 5 in a row that the Yankees have won. And unless the Red Sox can mount an attack in the top of the 9th inning, they'll be confronted with that same situation tomorrow. Difference is, in the process, they've lost 5.5 games to the Yankees.
Here's a 2-2 pitch and a foul out of play. Tomorrow night, the Red Sox have a guy who is, if he's not already, is at least rapidly becoming one of the real shutdown pitchers in the game, and that's John Lester, who's 3-0 in his career against the Yankees. Last time out, 6+ innings, 10 strikeouts at Tampa Bay. Boston lost that game. They lost an 8th inning lead. The final was 4-2 in 13 innings. Andy Pettitte has been very good his last 4 starts. Coming off a solid start at Toronto his last time, and that's the matchup. 2 lefties, Pettitte and Lester, tomorrow night. Pettitte 1 run over 6 1/3 at Toronto on Tuesday. Full count on Rodriguez. Rodriguez flies one into center. Ellsbury is there. The inning is over. A 2-run shot by Jeter in the 8th. His first hit of the day opens it up a bit into the 9th. 5-0 New York.
He ran off with his secretary.
Oh, enough! You get half and you get half. Team 3, Boathouse.
Oh, yeah. His and hers.
Van Gogh.
Steven!
Mansion. Let you go. Boss, what do we do with the Shih Tzu? Joint custody.
Get work done now. Communicate in less than a second with Nextel Direct Connect, only on the Now Network.
How bad is your heartburn?
My heartburn, it's like a volcano in my chest. Boom! But one Zantac later, and that volcano is history. All day or all night.
Heartburn, attack it. Zantac.
So on nights when Dad works late, we'll treat ourselves a bit at Olive Garden.
Ooh, breadsticks.
It's my chance to ask about his girlfriend.
Enjoy our new grilled chicken crostata with pasta and a tomato Alfredo. Or new grilled steak crostata with a 4 cheese sauce at Olive Garden.
There are engines, and then there's the twin turbocharging, 365 horsepower generating EcoBoost engine in the all-new Ford Taurus SHO that has the thirst of a V6 with the thrust of a V8. We speak car. We speak innovation. Introducing the all-new Taurus SHO from Ford. Drive one.
Daddy, can I get a puppy, please?
Okay, Sammy. It's bedtime.
Oh, 10 more minutes, please.
10 more.
Yes. Please.
Hey, Daddy. Will you buy us some alcohol for my party tonight? We'll be right here at the house. You can even take the keys. Please?
Absolutely not.
Each time I turn around. Never let me have anything.
Don't be a pushover.
Hate you.
Be a parent. Prevent. Don't provide alcohol to minors.
The smell of the grass, the crack of the bat,
The drip of the fudge. Can I eat all my meals out of hats? I could have a taco salad and a sombrero.
Oh, salad would be a start.
New pitcher in the ballgame for New York, David Robertson, who's rapidly becoming somebody else that Joe Girardi can count on in the bullpen. He gets a visit from Jim Joyce.
Yeah.
And the warning about pitching inside. And there the numbers. Left-handed hitters hitting only 157 against him. Great strikeout to walk ratio and innings pitched. Something Joe Girardi was talking to us about before the game. Jerry Hairston Jr. takes over in right for Nick Switcher as they improve the defense. And here is Ellsbury, top of the order. Jacoby Ellsbury is 1 for 3. He got the first hit of the game for Boston in the 6th. Came with 2 out. Sabathia followed that up with a strikeout. CC Sabathia is in line for his 12th win of the year. Here's strike 2. The Yankees have been able to develop this bullpen during the course of the year. 5 relievers that were with this club during the stretch when they lost the first 8 against the Red Sox that aren't with the team right now, and it seems like the group is settled into a nice rotation out in the bullpen as Ellsbury goes down. Nice piece of hitting, gets a base hit into left center field to start the 9th. Our game-changing play brought to you by Holiday Inn. Signs of change are everywhere, and CC Sabathia said good things are to come. The best is yet to come. He was terrific here today. 7 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Tied a season high 123 pitches. So a leadoff hit, and the Red Sox have to hope that leads to something big. And it would have to be big. Down 5-0 in the 9th inning with Pedroia up. He's 0 for 3.
Frank Sinatra said it for years. The best is yet to come. And now CC Sabathia saying the same thing. In fact, I believe the best is yet to come is on Frank Sinatra, Francis Albert's tombstone, on his gravestone. The best is yet to come.
1 ball, 1 strike on Pedroia. Victor Martinez on deck. And a good fastball by the bat of Pedroia for strike 2. Now there's more action for the Yankees out in their bullpen with Robertson on the mound as Rivera starts to loosen.
Take a look at David Robertson, and you don't even think Phil Hughes has left the game. They are so similar in their stuff.
Fly ball into center field, hit right at Melky Cabrera, 1 on, 1 out. Well, the New York Yankees Steakhouse sent us a nice spread before this game.
Unbelievable.
And you can go in there and they have knives, steak knives with our names in there and names of many others who have dined in the New York Yankees Steakhouse. So we thank them for the food before the game, and since we can't really take those out of the park, I guess we'll have to come back and visit those knives next time we're here.
Right.
What a nice touch as Victor Martinez steps in. The runner at first, 1 out. And a breaking ball misses, ball 1. Martinez is hitless with a walk. Euclid is on deck. Victor on 1-0, pops it up left side, might stay playable. Foul ball for Rodriguez and can't make the catch. Got by his glove off the tarp. 1-1.
It's like it got by his glove, and then he almost caught it with his bare hand. Oh, it popped back up to him, and he ended up with it. But fans a lucky recipient there. Notice the fans were not reaching over. If he had had a play, and they would not have interfered.
Here's a 1-1 to Victor Martinez. Down and in, 2-1. See the good velocity from David Robertson.
Got what Phil Hughes has developed too. They both have great extension.
Hard hit under the glove or off the glove of Cano and into right, and it's 2 on with 1 out. Euclid will be the hitter, and we'll see how much longer Joe Girardi wants to go with Robertson. Euclid so far in this game 1 for 3. Mariano Rivera, who has saved 31 of 32, is really starting to heat up now in the bullpen. You look at tonight on Fox, Cops, and then America's Most Wanted. And Euclid will try and make this a little more interesting here in the top of the 9th inning.
Mike Harkey, the bullpen coach, and he has already taken his cap off, and that means that Mariano Rivera is ready to go.
There's a strike.
Joe Girardi saying 1 more hitter.
On 0-1, Euclid takes ball 1. A lot of talk between the dugout and the bullpen.
Yeah, I can't remember Mariano Rivera being brought into a game during the course of an at-bat. Usually it's before the inning starts. Occasionally and particularly recently, it's been with 2 outs to get a 4-out save. Certainly he'll be gone if Youkilis gets a hit. I think Joe Girardi very reluctant to bring him in during the course of an at-bat. I think he wants Molina to talk to Robertson here. And usually when that happens, a manager wants to bring in a guy like Rivera. That would be very unusual.
Well, we'll look it up. Unless I dreamt it, I think earlier in the year that happened at Fenway Park between these two clubs. But I'm with you. It would be odd. And coming in a 5-0 game, top of the 9th inning, the last thing the Yankees want is to get into a situation where they have to use Rivera, and that could happen. Here's a fly ball into center. Cabrera is there. It's 2 on with 2 out, and David Ortiz will be the hitter. Ortiz, who started his day at 12:30 Eastern time with a press conference to try and answer some of the questions about the report that he was on the list of 104 players testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs back in 2003. Could take the final swing of the day. 2 on with 2 out. Robertson trying to close it down. And fools Ortiz, strike 1. If you're just joining us, we talked earlier plenty about David Ortiz, saying that he had careless use of supplements and vitamins back during that time and then educated himself better on what he was ingesting. Once baseball went to a more strict drug testing policy in 04 as he goes into the hole 0-2. Over but low, ball 1. And that foul tip caught piece of Jose Molina, and then I believe a piece of Jim Joyce, or maybe just Ortiz's bat and then Jim Joyce back to the screen, and Joyce is trying to take the cobwebs, right into the mask. Out.
Yeah, a lot of people think that because you have a mask on that solves all the problems, but that ball is spinning and it just takes that mask and twists it on the face. Jim appears to be all right.
Strike 3, game over. And the Yankees now have won 6 straight. The first 3 games of this 4-game series. The Red Sox have lost 5 straight, and they are 5.5 games out. Dominant pitching effort for the Yankees. Sabathia, Hughes, Robertson finishing. Sabathia his 12th win, and there's a look at the AL East. We'll take a break, come back, and wrap up our day at Yankee Stadium right after this.
Parkinson's has given me something I'm truly grateful for, the chance to make a difference in the lives of millions of patients.
The Michael J. Fox Foundation does not just fund research, it funds results.
By finding the science that will lead to breakthrough treatments.
And speed progress toward a cure.
The Michael J. Fox Foundation
and Fox Sports ask you to join our team.
because it takes a major league effort to strike out Parkinson's. Please go to michaeljfox.org.
The best and the smartest are back, bringing you faster, better internet. FBI. It's the new Comcast HD Triple Play offer.
You ready, partner? You know it, baby.
Ben and Shaq are breaking all the rules to give you a great offer for $99 a month, but that's not all.
You have the right to free Dell Netbook. Netbook him, Shaq.
Call 1-800-COMCAST now and get digital cable with free HD, unlimited nationwide calling, and high-speed internet, plus a free Dell Netbook, all for just $99 a month for the first year. Call 1-800-COMCAST today.
At Gander Mountain, we know it's never too early to start the new hunting season. So, get a jump on it right now during Gander Mountain's First Shot event, with an incredible selection of the best gear around, including trusted names like Diamond, Rage, Scentlock, and Primos. The new Gander Mountain in Jacksonville and St. Augustine. Gander Mountain. We live outdoors.
New about fantasy football is about to change. Fox Fantasy Football. With free customizable leagues, free live scoring, and free research tools. Fox Fantasy Football. Start your league today at foxsports.com on MSN.
Welcome back to New York, and there's the final from the Bronx. 5-0. The Yankees win it over the Boston Red Sox, and they've won the first 3 games of this 4-game series. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Ryan Howard and the NL East leading Phillies take on the Braves. The Giants look to keep pace in the NL wild card race as they battle the Mets, are the Indians and the Twins. Next Saturday on Fox. Check local listings for the MLB game in your area. Promotional consideration provided by the following. For more information on today's game and for the latest information on Major League Baseball, log on to foxsports.com, powered by MSN, the world's favorite sports site. Now for Tim McCarver and Ken Rosenthal, I'm Joe Buck. So long from the Bronx. You've been watching Fox Sports. Your home for the 2009 ALCS and World Series. Yankees win it this afternoon and evening, 5-0 over Boston.
August 20th, Eagles, Colts. August 21st, Cowboys, Titans. 2 great nights of NFL preseason action, only on Fox.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports. Home to the All-Star Game. The American League Championship Series. And the World Series. America's grand game is on Fox.
We are Fox Sports!
Get Wet Pools and Spas in Orange Park is closing its doors forever. All remaining stock must go now, slashed up to 80% off. Many below wholesale cost. Swimming pools from $180. Pool liners and pumps from $50. Chlorine salt generators $300. Spas as low as $330. Slate billiard tables $470. Tanning beds $290. Pool and spa chemicals, buy 3 get 1 free while they last through Sunday. First come, first serve. When it's gone, it's over. Going out of business sale. Get Wet Pools and Spas, 1232 Blanding Boulevard, 276-5000.
Florida RV's having a huge bank repo sale. Get unbelievable deals like diesel pushers starting at $20,000. Or this 08 36-foot toy hauler for $39,000. Why buy new when you can hit the road in style for hundreds, even thousands of dollars less? Everything must go during the huge bank repo sale going on now at Florida RVs. Visit FloridaRVs.org or their showroom at 3880 Firestone Road.
At Gander Mountain, we know it's never too early to start the new hunting season. So, get a jump on it right now during Gander Mountain's First Shot event, with an incredible selection of the best gear around, including trusted names like Diamond, Rage, Scentlock, and Primos. The new Gander Mountain in Jacksonville and St. Augustine. Gander Mountain. We live outdoors.
When you see breaking news happening, call Action News at 904-564-1599 or star 47 on your cell phone.
We now join the following program already in progress.